Chapter 3384. Caught off guard by Lin Yun's sudden appearance, Lord Long and Long Huaixin were powerless to stop her. They could only watch as Lin Yun rushed to Long Qing and unlocked the restriction in Long Qing's body without saying a word. The restriction in Long Qing's body was left behind by Long Huaixin. Long Qing could not break it, but Lin Yun, who was also a sovereign, easily unlocked it. Long Qing wanted to say something when the restriction was unlocked, but Lin Yun interrupted her. Let's go first. This was only the beginning, and the three of them were not out of danger yet. Or rather, it could be said that from now on, it was the most dangerous time, because Long Huaixin and Lord Long couldn't just watch Long Qing be taken away. This was indeed the case. Seeing Lin Yun appear beside Long Qing, Long Huaixin took a deep look at Xiao Chun. She did not expect that she would be tricked by Xiao Chun when she wanted to use him. This guy was more difficult to deal with than she had imagined. Just as Long Huaixin was stunned, Lord Long's voice came from the side. "Third sister, let's attack together. If we can't get them, we'll destroy them. Anyway, we can't let them save them." Lin Yun's appearance changed the situation in an instant. Lord Long knew very well that it was not the time to go down with Long Huaixin. Hearing this, Long Huaixin naturally knew the reason behind it. She nodded without thinking too much. To be honest, Long Huaixin did not expect things to develop to this point. When Long Huaixin and Lord Long reached a consensus, Xiao Chun did not stay idle. He had already rushed to the exit in a flash. Lin Yun also brought Long Qing and took out a defensive treasure without hesitation. With Long Qing's strength, he couldn't withstand the attacks from Long Huaixin and Lord Long, so he had to use the defensive magic treasure. Moreover, if he wanted to break out of the encirclement, he had to use the power of the defensive magic treasure. Seeing that the three of them were about to leave, how could Long Huaixin and Lord Long agree? They immediately attacked Lin Yun. At this moment, the two of them no longer cared about Long Qing's death. Anyway, the most important thing was to prevent Xiao Chun and the others from rescuing her. As for the other matters, they could put them aside for later. Seeing this, Lin Yun didn't care at all. She just pulled Long Qing and ran all the way. In total, they fiercely bombarded the defensive magic weapon. The attacks of two rulers, and they were not the attacks of ordinary rulers. How powerful were they? With just one strike, countless cracks appeared on the defensive magic treasure, and it was on the verge of collapse. This was a top-notch defensive Dharma treasure that Lin Yun had exchanged from the Western Imperial Palace. Seeing this, Lord Long and Long Huaixin didn't give Lin Yun a chance and continued to attack. When the second strike landed, the defensive magic treasure that protected the two of them was directly shattered. Faced with this, Lin Yun's expression remained unchanged. Without saying a word, she activated another defensive magic treasure. Seeing that Lin Yun had activated another defensive magic treasure, Long Huaixin and Lord Long frowned slightly. Lord Long said helplessly, "She's really well prepared. It seems that someone has indeed let a wolf into the house this time." He wanted to use her, but he didn't expect to be used by her instead. Lord Long's words naturally had a hidden meaning. If it weren't for Long Huaixin, there wouldn't be so many problems. If it weren't for Long Huaixin, Xiao Chun and the others wouldn't even have been able to reach this place. They would have been stopped when they entered the Azure Dragon Galaxy. It could be said that Lord Long was full of complaints about his third elder sister. If it weren't for the fact that the timing wasn't right, Lord Long would not have let it go so easily. Long Huaixin naturally understood the meaning behind Lord Long's words, but she did not refute him. She just snorted coldly. "I'd like to see how many treasures they have." With that, Long Huaixin continued to attack. Lord Long, who was at the side, complained, but he was not cowardly either. He attacked together with Long Huaixin. Another attack landed on the defensive magic treasure. Just like before, countless horizontal lines appeared on the magic treasure. It was obvious that Long Huaixin and Lord Long would never let the three of them leave. Long Qing was worried about the safety of Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. Once the three of them were captured, Long Qing might be able to survive, but Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, who were of no value, would definitely not be able to survive. Even if they were rulers, they would definitely die. She wanted to say something, but seeing Lin Yun like this along the way, Long Qing did not know what to say. Moreover, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had already appeared. What was the use of saying anything? He could only let Lin Yun take him away without making a sound. Xiao Chun led the way in front, while Lin Yun and Long Qing followed closely behind. Behind them were Lord Long and Long Huaixin, who were constantly chasing after them. Before they left the secret room, 3 of Lin Yun's defensive magic treasures had already been destroyed. Lord Long and Long Huaixin's attacks never stopped. It was obvious how deep their killing intent was. On the other hand, Lin Yun kept activating her defensive magic treasures. She did not care about Lord Long and Long Huaixin's entanglement at all. She did not even pay attention to them. It was obvious that they could not stop now. Once they stopped, they would not be able to leave. Damn it! Long Huaixin cursed in dissatisfaction as he still could not take down Lin Yun after a series of attacks. However, the 2 of them did not give up and continued to chase after her. Xiao Chun, who was at the front, had already arrived at the exit of the secret room. He slashed out with his sword and blasted open a passage as he rushed out. After rushing out of the secret room, Xiao Chun continued to rush out of the palace, but in another direction. This was also to avoid Long Sun and the others on the other side. If he went there now, it was no different from walking into a trap. Seeing Xiao Chun and the other 2 fleeing in a direction outside the forest, Long Huaixin and Lord Long chased after them and shouted at the top of their lungs, "Stop fighting! Capture Long Qing and the 2 rulers from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Capture them!" As soon as these words were spoken, Long Sun and the others, who were still fighting fiercely, were stunned. They knew that Long Huaixin's subordinates had taken off their masks and revealed their true faces. For a moment, Long Sun said with an ugly expression, "Damn it, it's you guys. Do you know what you're doing? This is a rebellion. Sir Star-Lord won't let you go if he knows." Long Man also shouted angrily. In response, an old woman under Long Huaixin said, "Now is not the time to talk about this. Let's capture them first. That's right. We're all working for our own masters. Let's just listen to orders now." Long Huaixin and Lord Long had already given orders. As followers, they naturally could not disobey. Moreover, if Long Qing was successfully rescued, both sides would not benefit. Hearing this, Long Sun and Long Man could only suppress the anger in their hearts and said coldly, "This matter is not over. When this matter is over, I'll definitely pay you a visit. When the time comes, I'll definitely ask for an explanation." After being entangled with their own people for so long, one could imagine how Long Sun and Long Man felt. It was normal for them to be angry. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3385. Only now did they know what was going on. Naturally, they would be furious. However, even though he was angry, he still had to deal with Xiao Chun and Lin Yun first. After all, Lord Long and Long Huaixin had already spoken. Immediately, Long Sun, Long Man, and the others chased after Xiao Chun and the other 2. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chun and the other 2 had already rushed out of the palace. However, Lord Long and Long Huaixin did not give up and continued to chase after them. "Xiao Chun, you guys can't run away. Give up." Behind them, Long Huaixin shouted in a deep voice. So what if the 3 of them ran out of the palace? It was impossible to leave the Azure Dragon Galaxy. However, Xiao Chun did not have the slightest intention to pay attention to it. His movement was not slow at all, and he continued to rush forward. Stubborn. Looking at Xiao Chun, Long Huaixin snorted in annoyance. He knew that there was no chance, but he still wanted to do it. It was simply wishful thinking. The chase caused quite a commotion. Naturally, it attracted the attention of many people in the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Among them, the other dragon princes were especially curious. What happened to Long Huaixin and Long Qing? Why were they chasing after 2 outsiders? Moreover, how did these 2 people from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy sneak in here? This is a little strange. The other dragon princes were curious about the fact that Long Qing had the ancestral dragon bloodline. However, this matter seemed strange at first glance. However, they did not act rashly. Instead, they curiously watched the development of the matter. This was the current situation in the Azure Dragon Galaxy. It was impossible for the Dragon Princes to work together. Since the other Dragon Princes did not take action, their subordinates naturally would not take action. This undoubtedly provided an opportunity for Xiao Chun and the other two to escape. If the Azure Dragon Galaxy had gone all out to capture the three of them, it would have been quite troublesome. But now, the other Dragon Sons were watching, and only Long Huaixin and Lord Long were in hot pursuit. The pressure on Xiao Chen's group was much less. He turned around and glanced at Lin Yun and Long Qing. Long Qing didn't know what Xiao Chun and the others were planning. When Lin Yun saw Xiao Chun, she turned around. The two of them looked at each other and nodded. It was obvious that they had reached a consensus. In a flash, he arrived beside Lin Yun and Long Qing. Looking at Xiao Chun, Long Qing wanted to say something, but the two of them didn't give him a chance. Xiao Chun took out a formation plate from his interspatial ring. This is the positioning array diagram is our life-saving treasure, Lin Yun said. The so-called positioning array diagram could determine the location of the teleportation. However, there was only one chance, and it couldn't cross the barrier. However, when they entered the Azure Dragon Galaxy, Xiao Chun had already set the positioning array at the entrance of the space passage. So, as long as they could successfully activate the positioning array diagram, Xiao Chun and the other two would have a great chance of escaping. The problem now was that the three of them had to hold on while the positioning array diagram was activated. They activated the positioning array diagram without hesitation. A soft white light instantly enveloped Xiao Chun and the other two. On the other side, Long Huaixin and Lord Long's eyes grew colder when they saw this. Were the three of them trying to escape? Dream on. Long Huaixin snorted coldly and immediately launched an attack toward Xiao Chun and the other two. No matter what, they couldn't let Xiao Chun and the other two escape today. Even if they had to abandon Long Qing, they had to make sure that the three of them stayed here forever. If Xiao Chun and Lin Yun really rescued Long Qing, it would definitely not be good news for Long Huaixin. Not only did they collude with foreign enemies, but they had also successfully rescued Long Qing. If this matter was reported to her father, Long Huaixin would probably be punished even if she was a dragon's son. The most important thing was that it would affect her reputation. When that time came, she, Long Huaixin, would be completely at a disadvantage among the dragon's sons. This was something that Long Huaixin absolutely did not want to see. So, no matter what, they had to make Xiao Chun and the other two stay here today, regardless of life or death. In the face of Long Huaixin's attack, Lin Yun did not hesitate to use a life-saving Dharma treasure. Her attack was neutralized. When Long Huaixin saw this, she did not stop her attack at all. Moreover, she attacked with all her strength. Let's see how long you can hold on. Long Huaixin attacked fiercely. Naturally, Lord Long was not idle. After a short period of familiarity, Long Sun, Long Man, and others also arrived. Everyone surrounded Xiao Chun and the other two and began to attack wildly. With so many attacks, she did not believe that Xiao Chun and the other two could block it. Moreover, even if they blocked it, as long as they were disturbed, Xiao Chun and the other two would have a chance to leave. However, Long Huaixin still underestimated Xiao Chen's preparation. In order to succeed this time, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had prepared a lot of life-saving Dharma treasures. And now, each of these priceless defensive Dharma treasures was as worthless as rotten cabbage in Lin Yun's hands. She used it without hesitation. In just a few seconds, Lin Yun had used more than 20 defensive Dharma treasures. Damn it! Seeing that Lin Yun and the other two's defensive Dharma treasures seemed to be endless, Long Huaixin became angrier and angrier. At the same time, it also made her ruthless. What kind of joke was this? Could she really let the three of them escape today? Seeing that the formation in Xiao Chen's hands was about to be activated, Long Huaixin did not care anymore and directly took out her special skill. With a dragon roar, the image of a giant white dragon appeared behind Long Huaixin. Upon seeing this, Lord Long was slightly taken aback. Is third sister going all out? She even used her natal superpower? The white dragon opened its mouth wide, and a terrifying dragon breath was suddenly spat out. It went straight to Xiao Chun and the other two. Seeing Long Huaixin's attack, Lin Yun frowned and cursed helplessly. Is this woman crazy? Is it necessary to go all out? Xiao Chun, we can't hold on for much longer. I'll be done soon. Hearing this, Lin Yun was also helpless. She could only take out all the defensive Dharma treasures on her in order to block Long Huaixin's strongest attack. More than 10 defensive Dharma treasures were used at the same time. Xiao Chun and the other two were protected by layers of defense. However, under Long Huaixin's attack, the defensive Dharma treasures were as fragile as paper. These defensive magic treasures were as fragile as paper and were quickly destroyed one by one. Seeing that the defensive Dharma treasures were constantly being destroyed and torn apart, Long Huaixin finally revealed a smile in her eyes. Let's see what you can do now. Although the defensive Dharma treasures were good, there would always be a time when they would be used up. Moreover, Long Huaixin could see that the defensive Dharma treasures used by Lin Yun were all top-notch. It was impossible to have many defensive Dharma treasures of this level. Now that her attack had landed, what would Lin Yun and the others do next? As for whether Long Qing could block the aftermath of this attack, it was completely out of Long Huaixin's consideration at this time. Even if Long Qing died, she could not let Xiao Chun and Lin Yun go. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3386. A smile gradually appeared on Long Huaixin's face as she watched Lin Yun's defensive Dharma treasures being destroyed one by one. As long as these defensive Dharma treasures were dealt with, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would be like fish on a chopping board. They would not be able to escape. However, just as Long Huaixin thought that she had succeeded, the white light that had originally enveloped Xiao Chun and the other two suddenly erupted. A huge array was instantly formed beneath the three of them. Damn it! This was the activation of the teleportation array. Upon seeing this scene, Long Huaixin's beautiful face revealed a sinister expression. She no longer cared about anything else and rushed toward Xiao Chun and the other two in an attempt to stop all of this. Unfortunately, before Long Huaixin could reach Xiao Chun and the other two, the three of them were enveloped by the white light and disappeared for where they were in the next second. Long Huaixin's eyes were red as she watched the three of them disappear. She gritted her teeth and said, "Chase after them. Chase them. We can't let them escape." She originally thought that victory was in her hands, but who would have thought that Xiao Chun and the other two would escape in the end? They deserved to die. With that, Long Huaixin took the lead and disappeared on the spot. The rest of the people also chased after her. Long Sun came to Lord Long's side and asked, "What should we do? Let's chase after them. Now is not the time to have internal strife." Although these things were caused by Long Huaixin, they did not have time to care about these things now. They had to capture Xiao Chun and the other two first. As for Long Huaixin, there would be plenty of opportunities to argue with her in the future. Long Sun did not refute Lord Long's words because it was indeed not the right time to talk about these things. It was better to unite against the outside world. The group did not give up and continued to pursue. At this time, Xiao Chun and the other two had already appeared at the entrance of the space passage. Looking at the space passage in front of them, Xiao Chun said without hesitation, "Let's go." Although he had temporarily shaken off Long Huaixin and the others, Xiao Chun still did not dare to be careless. He immediately rushed into the spatial tunnel with Lin Yun and Long Qing. He wasn't truly safe yet. Only when he entered the Fire Phoenix Galaxy would he be safe. The three of them entered the spatial tunnel. Almost a second later, Long Huaixin appeared at the entrance. Damn it! Looking at the empty space tunnel entrance, Long Huaixin cursed inwardly. He was still one step too late. But Long Huaixin wasn't willing to give up just like that. She made a bold decision, and that was to charge into the Fire Phoenix Galaxy to capture him. Hearing her words, everyone at the side was stunned, and someone spoke up. "Isn't this still a little inappropriate? It's too dangerous to recklessly enter the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. What's there to be afraid of? We have so many people. If we launch a surprise attack, we'll capture Shao Chun and the other two before the Fire Phoenix Galaxy can react. Then, we'll retreat immediately." Long Huaixin said, without hesitation in the face of the others' objections. She wasn't willing to give up just like that. So, even if she had to take the risk of entering the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, she had to capture Shao Chun and the other two. Moreover, Long Huaixin guessed that once they entered the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, Shao Chun and the other two would definitely relax. At that time, she would suddenly charge out with her people and capture Shao Chun and the others in one fell swoop. At that time, before the Fire Phoenix Galaxy could react, she would bring her people back to the Azure Dragon Galaxy. At that time, what could the Fire Phoenix Galaxy do to her? Long Huaixin insisted, and then took the lead to rush into the spatial tunnel. Seeing this, the others could only follow. On the other side, Lord Long said to Long Sun and Long He, "We'll go too. We'll go." Long Huaixin's idea wasn't impossible. Once they entered the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, Shao Chun and the others would definitely lower their guard. They didn't expect that Long Huaixin would dare to bring people into the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Moreover, it would take time for the Fire Phoenix Galaxy's side to react. With so many people, before the Fire Phoenix Galaxy could react, it would be enough to capture Shao Chun and the other two. Therefore, Long Huaixin's idea was correct. It was because of this that Lord Long was willing to take a gamble with him. The two sides crossed the spatial tunnel one after the other and headed towards the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Shao Chun and the other two took the lead and crossed the spatial tunnel, returning to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Now that they were back, Long Qing finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, Shao Chun still cautioned, "Be careful, it's not completely safe yet. This is the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. It shouldn't be that bad, right?" Hearing this, Lin Yun smiled and said. In response, Shao Chun shook his head. "Who can be sure that they won't chase after us? Let's go first. We can't stay here for long." With that, Shao Chun was about to leave, but at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the three of them. Seeing the person who had come, Shao Chun finally heaved a sigh of relief. The person who had come was none other than Huang Yi. Seeing Huang Yi, Shao Chun knew that he was safe because Huang Yi was accompanied by the Yi Sovereign, the West Sovereign, and the other three sovereigns of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Obviously, they were also on guard against this matter that would attract the sovereigns of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, so they were already prepared. Of course, there was another reason, and that was that Huang Yi had specially come here to see if there was a chance to help Shao Chun. However, he didn't expect that Shao Chun and Lin Yun would actually succeed. Looking at Shao Chun and Lin Yun, who were safe and sound, as well as Long Qin, who had been rescued by them, the corners of Huang Yi's mouth twitched unconsciously. These two guys were really capable. Everyone thought that they were courting death by rushing into the Azure Dragon Galaxy to save people. But who would have thought that they would succeed? Not only Huang Yi, but the Old Man East Sovereign, the West Sovereign, and the others were also the same. F***CK. These two guys were monsters, right? The two of them entered the Azure Dragon Galaxy, but not only did they not die, they didn't even seem to be injured. What was even more exaggerated was that they actually rescued people. Did the Azure Dragon Galaxy go easy on them? Thinking about it, it was impossible. No matter what the reason was, it was impossible for the Azure Dragon Galaxy to let Shao Chun and the others return alive. After recovering from the shock, Huang Yi looked at Shao Chun and Lin Yun angrily and said, "You guys are really getting more and more promising. The two of you dared to go deep into the Azure Dragon Galaxy to save people. If the two of you were given a little more time, would the two of you destroy the Azure Dragon Galaxy?" It was obvious that Huang Yi was a little unhappy. These two guys had completely ignored his and the Star-Lord's words. He had told them not to act rashly. But who would have thought that the two of them would go to the Azure Dragon Galaxy as soon as they were transferred to the front line? Even if they succeeded, they still deserved to die for making him worry for so long. After hearing Huang Yi's words, how could Shao Chun not hear the resentment in his words? He could only smile helplessly. This was a good opportunity, and I didn't want to let it go. Besides, didn't we come back safely now? Don't be angry, okay? Oh, it's easy for you to say. Let's see how you explain it when you go back. As emperors, you don't care about the overall situation at all. Please add, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3387. Huang Yi said angrily. This time, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's entry into the Azure Dragon Galaxy had shocked many people. It had caused quite a stir in the West Imperial Palace, yet this guy was still acting as if he didn't care at all. However, no matter what, the fact that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun were able to return safely and successfully rescue Long Qing had indeed shocked Huang Yi. He also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. At least they were fine. However, just as everyone was talking, Long Huaixin rushed out of the spatial passage with his men. Seeing so many emperors from the Azure Dragon Galaxy, Huang Yi and Yang Zhong felt a chill run down their spines. It was obvious that they had come to chase after Xiao Chun and the others. They had spared no effort to chase them all the way to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. However, Huang Yi was not afraid of them. Although Long Huaixin, Long Ba, and the others had many emperors around them, Huang Yi and Xiao Chun could still resist them with the four of them. Not to mention, this was the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. They would definitely be able to provide support much faster than in the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Long Huaixin and Long Ba naturally saw Huang Yi. Seeing this, Long Huaixin's face turned cold, while Long Ba was speechless. There were still people in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy to provide support. This time, it should be impossible for them to take back Long Qing. He glanced at Long Huaixin angrily as if to say, "This is all your fault." Long Huaixin turned a deaf ear to Long Ba's gaze and looked coldly at Xiao Chun. "I've really underestimated you. We're just using each other. Do you still want to fight now?" Xiao Chun smiled and replied nonchalantly, "That's right." It was impossible for Long Huaixin to have any chance to take back Long Qing. Hearing this, Long Huaixin looked at everyone unwillingly. It was obvious that he was considering whether to make a move or not. In terms of numbers, Long Huaixin and the others still held the advantage. However, if they couldn't take down Xiao Chen's group in a short period of time, reinforcement from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy would arrive. Especially when Long Huaixin saw Huang Yi, her face darkened. Huang Yi did not reveal much of his aura, but Long Huaixin could clearly sense that he was not an ordinary ruler. Huang Yi was a Star Lord candidate. Realizing this, Long Huaixin completely gave up. Although they had the advantage in numbers, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy had actually sent out a Star Lord candidate. There was no way they could fight. Not to mention whether or not they could defeat Huang Yi. As long as the battle dragged on, the final result would definitely be their defeat. She thought that she had used Xiao Chun, but who would have thought that in the end, it was Xiao Chun who had used her? After taking a deep look at Xiao Chun, Long Huaixin said unwillingly, "Let's go." Long Huaixin and Lord Long left with their people. Seeing this, Xiao Chun and the others did not stop them. After all, it was impossible to stop them. After Long Huaixin and the others left, Xiao Chun and the others were completely relieved. Huang Yi said angrily, "Let's go back first." As they spoke, they arrived at the fortress in the 7th region. Seeing that Xiao Chun and the other two had returned safely, Long Qing, Zixuan, Lai Wan, and the others were all delighted. "You really succeeded? If I wasn't confident, would I take the risk?" In response, Xiao Chun replied with a smile. Previously, Xiao Chun had disappeared without saying a word and entered the Azure Dragon Galaxy without even telling them. This had given Zixuan, Lai Wan, and the others a shock. However, everything was fine now. At least he was safe and sound. Long Qing finally had a chance to have a good chat with Xiao Chun. "Little brother, what's the matter?" Hearing this, Xiao Chun replied with a smile. Looking at Xiao Chen's smiling face, Long Qing did not know what to say for a moment. Xiao Chen had risked his life to save her, which made Long Qing very touched. Moreover, in this world, probably only Xiao Chun would do this for her. After all, they had been through a lot together, and their relationship was far deeper than others. Don't do such dangerous things in the future. After holding in for a long time, Long Qing finally said this sentence. In response, Xiao Chun laughed. "I should say this, second sister. Don't do such dangerous things in the future. After relaxing, Xiao Chun was in a good mood and joked. Long Qing rolled her eyes at him and then thanked Lin Yun. Lin Yun and Xiao Chun came to rescue her together. This was indeed a great kindness. As for Lin Yun, she obviously did not care about this. Everyone chatted for a while. It was rare to come back, so naturally, they had to celebrate. They sat together, drinking and chatting. However, during this process, Huang Yi asked Long Qing curiously, "By the way, why did the Azure Dragon Galaxy capture you?" This was something that everyone had always been curious about. The Azure Dragon Galaxy captured Long Qing, but did not kill her. They even took care of her for so long. From Long Qing, everyone already knew what Long Qing had encountered in the Azure Dragon Galaxy during this period of time. It could be said that Long Qing had a good time during this period of time. Not only was she not tortured by the Azure Dragon Galaxy, but there were people teaching her cultivation every day and providing her with cultivation resources. This made Huang Yi and the others even more curious. Why was this? What did Long Qing have that the Azure Dragon Galaxy valued? Why did the Azure Dragon Galaxy value her so much? What's more, according to Xiao Chun, the two dragon princes of the Azure Dragon Galaxy were fighting over Long Qing. If not for this, Long Huaixin would not have taken the initiative to cooperate with Xiao Chun, and Xiao Chun had no chance to rescue Long Qing. Therefore, everyone was curious about what Long Qing had. In this regard, Long Qing was also puzzled because Long Sun did not tell her these things. However, after experiencing it personally, Long Qing had some guesses. Therefore, after hearing Huang Yi's words, Long Qing thought about it and did not hide it. It should be related to my bloodline, but I don't know the specifics. The power of bloodline? Hearing this, Huang Yi and the others fell into deep thought. This should be the case because Long Qing happened to be a dragon, and it seemed that the Azure Dragon Galaxy only cared about her bloodline. However, was there anything special about Long Qing's bloodline? Everyone knew that the Dragon Clan of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy could not be compared to the Azure Dragon Galaxy. The two were completely incomparable. Was Long Qing a special case? Could it be that the Azure Dragon Galaxy was shocked? Huang Yi was a little puzzled. After thinking about it, he asked, "Can I have a look?" He asked for Long Qing's consent. In this regard, Long Qing naturally would not refuse. Then, Huang Yi personally checked Long Qing. However, Huang Yi's understanding of the Dragon Clan was only superficial. Therefore, after a round of examination, he naturally did not come to any conclusions. Long Qing's bloodline power did not seem to be much different from the Dragon Clan he had encountered before. Please add, recommend, and vote. End of chapter. Chapter 3388. Huang Yi didn't see anything wrong with Long Qing's bloodline at all. Even Long Sun was certain after 3 confirmations. Although Huang Yi had the strength of Star-Lord candidate, his understanding of the Dragon Clan was obviously incomparable to Long Sun's. Huang Yi shook his head helplessly. He didn't know what Long Qing had that could make the Azure Dragon Galaxy pay so much attention to her. I can't tell. I'm afraid we can only let the Star-Lord take a look at it himself. Huang Yi couldn't tell. Xiao Chun and the others didn't say anything about this. This was the only thing they could do now. However, as long as Long Qing was safe, nothing else mattered in Xiao Chun's opinion. However, after Huang Yi finished speaking, he thought for a moment before he added, "Don't worry. By the way, Long Qing needs to be careful. With the Azure Dragon Galaxy's reaction, they probably won't give up so easily." Everyone could see that Long Qing seemed to be very important to the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Otherwise, Long Huaixin and Lord Long wouldn't have chased her all the way to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Under such circumstances, the Azure Dragon Galaxy probably wouldn't give up so easily. If the Azure Dragon Galaxy succeeded, the possibility of rescuing her would be very slim. Xiao Chun was also very clear about this point, so after hearing Huang Yi's words, Xiao Chun nodded. "Yes, that's right. Then let Long Qing return to the West Imperial Palace. Don't leave unless necessary. After all, that's the safest place." Right now, the safest place was either the rear or the West Imperial Palace. Therefore, Huang Yi's words weren't unreasonable. Long Qing didn't refuse everyone's suggestion because it was all for her own good. Moreover, Long Qing didn't try to be brave. After all, with her cultivation, as long as the Azure Dragon Galaxy found an opportunity, it would be very easy to capture her. She couldn't let Xiao, Chun, and the others fall into danger because of her alone. While everyone was talking, Xianyuan Ling, who had received the news, quickly rushed to the fortress in the 7th region. Previously, when they were saving people, Xiao Chun did not go with Xianyuan Ling because with Xianyuan Ling's strength, he would not be of much help even if he went. Xiao Chun still had to take care of him. When he heard that Xiao Chun had actually gone to the Azure Dragon Galaxy to save someone, one could imagine how Xianyuan Ling felt. Now that he heard that Xiao Chun had returned safely and successfully rescued Long Qing, he naturally rushed over without delay. Seeing that Xiao Chun and Long Qing were safe and sound, Xianyuan Ling heaved a sigh of relief. "Third brother, why didn't you discuss such an important matter with me?" He looked at Xiao Chun with some dissatisfaction. In response, Xiao Chun smiled. "Didn't I come back safely?" Hearing that, Xianyuan Ling did not say anything more. What else could his third brother say? Then, everyone told Xianyuan Ling what had just happened. When he heard that Long Qing would be sent to the West Imperial Palace, Xianyuan Ling naturally agreed. This was the best choice. The West Imperial Palace was personally guarded by the Star Lord and many sovereigns. No matter how arrogant the Azure Dragon Galaxy was, they would definitely not dare to snatch people from the West Imperial Palace. At the same time, in the West Imperial Palace, the news that Xiao Chun and the others had returned safely from the Azure Dragon Galaxy spread quickly. Countless people did not believe that it was true. After all, 2 people dared to go to the Azure Dragon Galaxy to save someone and even succeeded. No matter how they looked at it, it was impossible. However, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had succeeded and even rescued Long Qing. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Amazing, amazing. These 2 fellows are really shocking. That's right. Who would have thought that they would actually succeed and actually manage to rescue her? Not only that, I heard that the 2 dragon princes from the Azure Dragon Galaxy chased them all the way to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Oh, in that case, Long Qing seems to be very important to the Azure Dragon Galaxy? It should be. Otherwise, the Azure Dragon Galaxy wouldn't be like this. It's just that I don't know the specific reason. Not only the martial artists below, but many sovereigns were also discussing animatedly. On one hand, they were shocked by Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. On the other hand, they were also curious about what secrets Long Qing had that could make the Azure Dragon Galaxy pay so much attention to them. However, these things were not something that sovereigns like them could find out. Long Qing was Xiao Chen's subordinate. Everyone knew this, so no matter what Long Qing had, Xiao Chun would naturally tell the Star Lord. As sovereigns, they could not interfere. Most people were shocked, but some were unhappy. The 2 patriarchs of the phone people had gloomy faces at this moment. Who would have thought that even the Azure Dragon Galaxy would not be able to keep Xiao Chun and Lin Yun here? They originally thought that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would be courting death if they entered the Azure Dragon Galaxy by themselves. There was no chance of survival. Who would have thought that these 2 fellows would actually return alive? Damn it. Is the Azure Dragon Galaxy a bunch of good-for-nothings? They can't even deal with 2 people? The old woman cursed angrily. However, no matter how she cursed, she could not change this fact. She wanted Xiao Chun and Lin Yun to die at the hands of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, but they returned safely. The people from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy were shocked, but in the Azure Dragon Galaxy, Long Huaixin and Lord Long, who had retreated, were not in such a good mood. In Long Huaixin's palace, Lord Long leaned lazily on a reclining chair, but his gaze was incomparably sharp as he looked at Long Huaixin. "Third sister, it seems that I, as your younger brother, have underestimated you." His words were full of complaints and coldness. Things had developed to this point because of Long Huaixin. If she had not lured Xiao Chun here and even helped Xiao Chun sneak into the Azure Dragon Galaxy, Long Qing would not have been rescued. Now, the duck on the chopping board could fly away. How could Lord Long not be angry? In this regard, Long Huaixin also knew that she was in the wrong and could only say in a deep voice, "Who can resist the bloodline of the ancestral dragon? You don't have to be like this. Tell me, what compensation do you want?" At this point, it was useless to say anything more. Long Huaixin also knew that she would have to bleed a lot this time. At the very least, she had to appease Lord Long, otherwise the two of them might really meet on the battlefield. Moreover, who asked her to be in the wrong? More importantly, if this matter was blown out of proportion, Long Huaixin would be accused of colluding with the enemy and cooperating with the people of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy to deal with her brother. Long Huaixin was very tactful. However, when he heard this, Lord Long said in annoyance, "Oh, compensation? Third sister, what compensation do you think can compare to the bloodline of the ancestral dragon?" Hearing this, Long Huaixin's face sank. She naturally knew this, but what could she do? Things have already come to this, and I don't want to. I admit that I was greedy for the bloodline of the ancestral dragon and underestimated Xiao Qin's ability. Now that you say this, do you want me to give you the bloodline of the ancestral dragon? As long as I have it, you can say whatever you want. I won't refuse anything. As for the bloodline of the ancestral dragon, it's meaningless. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3389. Long Huaixin had nothing else to say now that things had developed to this point. She could only compensate Lord Long. After all, she was the one who had brought Xiao Qin into the Azure Dragon Galaxy. If it weren't for her, Xiao Qin wouldn't have been able to enter the Azure Dragon Galaxy, and Long Qing wouldn't have been rescued. Lord Long fell silent when he heard Long Huaixin's words. It was clearly impossible to snatch Long Qing back now. After this incident, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy would definitely pay more attention to Long Qing and protect her better. Lord Long and the others wouldn't stand a chance. Lord Long glanced at Long Huaixin and said, "In that case, Third Sister will compensate me with the 38 drops of Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence that Imperial Father gave you." Long Huaixin immediately wanted to refuse. After all, the 38 drops of Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence were true treasures. The Star-Lord of the Azure Dragon Galaxy had given them to Long Huaixin back then. Long Huaixin had always been reluctant to use them. It could be said that this was the most precious treasure Long Huaixin had. Although it couldn't compare to Long Qing's ancestral dragon bloodline, it would definitely allow Lord Long's strength to rise to a new level. You know how important this Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence is to me. Long Huaixin's tone was somewhat gloomy as he looked at Lord Long. There was no way Long Huaixin would give this item to Lord Long. In response, Lord Long said indifferently, "Third Sister, what else do you think I'm interested in apart from the Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence?" This was the truth. Although Long Huaixin had other good things, they were insignificant compared to Long Qing's ancestral dragon bloodline. Moreover, it wasn't as if Lord Long couldn't find the other so-called treasures. Therefore, in Lord Long's opinion, these things weren't enough to compensate him. Only the Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence could catch Lord Long's eye. Unfortunately, this thing was too important to Long Huaixin. It would be difficult for her to compensate Lord Long with the Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence. Long Huaixin fell silent when she heard Lord Long's words. However, it seemed that she really wanted to refuse. While Long Huaixin and Lord Long were discussing compensation, the other dragon princes naturally learned the truth of the matter. They all knew about the battle on Lord Long's side, but they didn't know the inside story. With the passage of time, the matter had become so big that even if Lord Long and Long Huaixin wanted to hide it, they couldn't. Therefore, all the dragon sons knew of Long Qing's existence, and also knew that Long Qing actually possessed the ancestral dragon's bloodline. For a moment, all the dragon sons were secretly shocked. Lord Long is really lucky. He actually found the ancestral dragon bloodline. However, it's fortunate that they've been rescued, and he didn't succeed. Otherwise, the position of young master would likely have been taken away by him. All the princes knew very well how powerful the ancestral dragon bloodline was. Imagine, If Lord Long really obtained Long Qing's ancestral dragon bloodline, what else could the other princes use to compete with him? Even their father, the Star Lord of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, couldn't help but be tempted by the ancestral dragon bloodline, let alone these dragon sons. Although they were shocked, Long Qing's rescue should be considered good news for the other princes. After all, they naturally didn't want Lord Long to get what they couldn't get. Moreover, now that they all knew about Long Qing's existence, the princes probably wouldn't let Lord Long succeed, even if Xiao Chun hadn't rescued Long Qing. Long Huaixin had done a good thing, at least in the eyes of the princes. Stopping Lord Long from obtaining the ancestral dragon bloodline was equivalent to doing the other princes a big favor. However, at this point, the other princes quickly thought of the same thing, which was that they couldn't let Long Huaixin off so easily. Long Huaixin had an affair with the Emperor of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. This crime should be enough for her to suffer. Although they were brothers, the 9 princes were competitors. They naturally wouldn't let go of any opportunity to attack their opponent. Long Huaixin secretly joined forces with Xiao Chun this time, which gave everyone an opportunity. If their father knew about this, Long Huaixin would definitely be punished. Although it wouldn't immediately make her lose the right to compete for the position of young lord, she would definitely be punished. The other princes were thinking of taking advantage of the situation. They wanted to use this opportunity to take down Long Huaixin in one fell swoop. Thinking of this, the other princes rushed to the palace where their father was. They wanted to sue Long Huaixin and make her be punished. Long Huaixin didn't know what his brothers were thinking. At this moment, he was still discussing the issue of compensation with Lord Long. Lord Long wanted all of the Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence. In the end, after weighing the pros and cons, Long Huaixin said, 38 drops of Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence. That's impossible. I can give you 18 drops at most. That's my bottom line. Long Huaixin said truthfully. He really couldn't compensate Lord Long with all the Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence. Since the Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence was equally important to Long Huaixin, 18 drops was Long Huaixin's limit. Lord Long thought about it and knew that Long Huaixin wasn't joking. This was probably her bottom line. If he insisted on not agreeing, Long Huaixin would probably really fall out with him regardless of everything. All right, 18 drops it is. He nodded and accepted Long Huaixin's offer. Seeing this, Long Huaixin didn't waste any more time. He directly took out 18 drops of Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence from his space ring and gave it to Lord Long. He accepted it with peace of mind. The two of them had reached a temporary compromise. There was no other way. Long Qing had already been rescued. What could Lord Long do, even if he was angry? Completely fall out with Long Huaixin? That wouldn't benefit Lord Long at all. Moreover, if he fell out with Long Huaixin, not only would Lord Long not get any compensation, he would also have one less helper in the future. This wasn't good news for Lord Long. Therefore, enduring it for the time being was Lord Long's best and only choice. After receiving the 18 drops of Tyrant Dragon Blood Essence from Long Huaixin, Lord Long said unhurriedly, "We're done here. But third sister, I guess you'll be busy from now on. The other brothers won't let you off so easily." Lord Long had already guessed how the other Draconici would react. At this time, they must have known about this matter. Then, with the character of the other dragon princes, they definitely wouldn't let go of this opportunity easily. Using this as a pretext to make a fuss, this was probably what everyone was thinking. Of course, if Lord Long and Long Huaixin were in this situation, they would probably do the same. There weren't many opportunities like this in the competition of the 9 dragons. Since they came across it, they definitely wouldn't let it go. Therefore, Long Huaixin was indeed going to be busy for a period of time. Please add, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3390. Lord Long had already guessed what was going to happen. Upon hearing this, Long Huaixin glanced at him indifferently and said calmly, "So what? So, are you going to get involved?" Long Huaixin knew this, but she had no choice. This was the result she had to face ever since she failed. The other brothers wouldn't let this matter slide so easily. Lord Long said with a smile, "Me? I won't take the initiative to do anything. After all, Third sister and I are still allies. Everything depends on how father deals with it. Lord Long wouldn't kick someone when they were down, but he wouldn't help Long Huaixin either. Upon hearing this, Long Huaixin didn't say anything. It was already very good that Lord Long could do something. As for the other brothers, Long Huaixin couldn't control them. Whatever they wanted to do, Long Huaixin couldn't stop Long Huaixin. While Long Huaixin and Lord Long were thinking about this, the other dragon sons also arrived at their father's palace one after another. Outside the palace, when they saw that all the brothers had arrived, except for Long Huaixin and Lord Long, they smiled at each other. Big brother, you're here too? After such a big thing happened, we naturally have to ask for father's instructions. That's true. Sigh. Third sister was too muddle-headed this time. She actually colluded with the Emperor of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Isn't this the act of a traitor? As soon as they opened their mouths, the brothers directly described Long Huaixin as a traitor. Since they wanted to target her, they had to do it in the most serious way possible. As they spoke, the brothers smiled at each other. It wasn't difficult to see what they were thinking. This time, even if they couldn't kill Long Huaixin, they would definitely make her suffer. All right, let's meet Imperial Father first. Everything will be decided by Imperial Father. Big brother is right. Let's go in quickly. As they spoke, the brothers walked into the main hall together. After they were notified, they saw their father. He was wearing a golden yellow robe and had a majestic appearance. He was the Star Lord of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Lord Long, greetings, father. In front of the Dragon Monarch, the brothers bowed respectfully. Facing their own father, they had an innate fear. Ever since he was young, the Dragon Monarch had never been a loving father. On the contrary, in the Dragon Monarch's opinion, his son should be the one to survive. The outstanding ones could inherit his legacy, while the losers were not even qualified to be his children. It was precisely because of the Dragon Monarch's thinking that the Azure Dragon Galaxy had fallen into a situation where the 9 dragons were vying for the throne. It could be said that the situation was created by the Dragon King. He did not choose a son to inherit his mantle, nor did he show any favoritism. The Dragon God had always instilled in his son the idea that if he wanted something, he had to fight for it with his own strength. If he couldn't get it, then it was his own fault. He couldn't blame others. It was precisely because of this that the 9 great dragon sons could be said to be unscrupulous in order to obtain the position of young master. The Dragon King had never interfered in these matters. He just gave his sons a platform to compete on their own. The Dragon Monarch nodded slightly and said indifferently to his brothers, "Why are you here? Father, have you heard about what happened to third sister?" Yes. The Dragon Monarch naturally knew about Long Huaixin's matter. He also knew about Long Qing's existence, but he didn't show too much anger. Although the ancestral dragon bloodline was precious, it wasn't enough to make the Dragon Monarch go crazy. After all, as a Star Lord, some things were nothing in the eyes of the Dragon Monarch. Seeing their father nod, the brothers spoke one after another. Imperial Father, your son believes that third sister's actions this time around are truly too excessive. She actually dared to secretly contact the ruler of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Even if it is for her own selfish desires, her actions have truly brought shame to our Azure Dragon Galaxy. Yes, Father, third sister is a dragon's son, but even she had an affair with the ruler of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. If we don't punish her this time, what will others think? That's right. As father's children, we should set an example for others. Third sister's actions are indeed outrageous this time. The brothers spoke one after another. Yinran had already described Long Huaixin as a traitor who wanted to betray the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Moreover, she had to be punished. If she wasn't punished, how could others be convinced? Where would the Dragon Monarch's prestige be placed? The brothers spoke one after another, but the Dragon Monarch was very calm and didn't show any changes. It was as if he didn't care about this matter at all. The brothers had long been used to this. Their father was like this. His thoughts were deep, and you couldn't guess what he was thinking at all. After the brothers finished speaking, the Dragon Monarch said calmly, "Don't worry about it. You all think that Long Huaixin should be severely punished?" Yes, Father. If this matter is not punished, it won't be enough to intimidate others. Even if she is a dragon's son, she should be punished for her mistakes. The brothers were determined to make Long Huaixin pay the price. In this regard, the dragon monarch finally revealed a smile. How could he not know what his sons were thinking? After saying so much, were they really doing this for the sake of the Azure Dragon Galaxy? Were they really doing this to convince everyone? Of course, this was all nonsense. Even if Long Huaixin wasn't punished, no one would say anything, and it wouldn't be convincing at all. However, the dragon monarch still spoke. Long Huaixin colluded with the emperor of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. From today onwards, she will be stripped of her command of the Azure Dragon Army. Hearing the dragon monarch's words, the brothers below were delighted. Their father was stripping Long Huaixin of her command of the army. One had to know that the 9 dragon sons, in addition to their own followers, each had an army of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. This army was personally assigned to them by the dragon monarch in the early years. It was a direct army that belonged to the Azure Dragon Galaxy's Star-Lord's palace. Its combat strength was terrifying. Originally, each dragon son had such an army, and everyone was evenly matched. However, now that Long Huaixin was stripped of her command of the Azure Dragon Army, it meant that Long Huaixin's power was directly cut off. This punishment could not be said to be light. More importantly, since Long Huaixin's command of the Azure Dragon Army had been stripped, the Azure Dragon Army would be leaderless from now on. Moreover, with their father's personality, the brothers knew very well that the command of the Azure Dragon Army would eventually fall to their heads. And whoever obtained the command of the Azure Dragon Army in the end would undoubtedly increase their personal power. With 2 armies directly under the command of the Star-Lord's palace, their power would instantly leap to the top among the 9 dragon sons. When that time came, their chances of obtaining the position of young master would be even greater. Please add, recommend, and vote. Han Wufeng still looking for Sword Master 8 Desolation for free? Baidu directly searched. Very simple. Chapter 3391. Now that the command of the Azure Dragon Army had been vacated, the other dragon sons rejoiced. However, from the looks of it, their father didn't seem to have any intention of making any new arrangements. Based on their understanding of their father, Longqing had just been stripped of his command, so there shouldn't be any changes in the short term. Looking at his sons below, the dragon monarch said indifferently, "This matter ends here. Instead of fighting among yourselves, why don't you think about how to deal with the Fire Phoenix Galaxy? After all, it all depends on military merits." After saying that, the dragon monarch waved his hand, indicating for everyone to leave. Before leaving, the dragon monarch's words were clearly a reminder to everyone. He told them not to think about fighting among themselves, and that it was about time to make a move on the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. As time passed, the preparations in the Azure Dragon Galaxy were almost complete. It was about time. If the dragon sons under the dragon monarch wanted to obtain the position of young lord, military merits were indispensable in addition to other reasons. This time, whoever contributed the most in dealing with the Fire Phoenix Galaxy would most likely obtain the dragon monarch's approval. As for his sons, the dragon monarch had always given them a lot of autonomy. Since the request had been made, it was up to them to do what they wanted. It seems that father is a little dissatisfied with our recent performance. This is normal. After all, from the start of the war until now, we haven't done any substantial damage to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Now that the preparations are almost complete, it's reasonable for father to make a move. Yes, since father has spoken, we must make a move. Since the dragon monarch took the initiative to talk about this matter, the dragon sons knew that they had to make a move. If it was like before, then their father's impression of them would be greatly reduced. At that time, they wouldn't be able to obtain the position of young lord. The brothers discussed among themselves for a while, then went their separate ways. This time, they had achieved their goal. Long Huaixin had been stripped of her command of the Azure Dragon Army, which greatly weakened her forces. And given their father's character, if Long Huaixin didn't do anything too experienced in the future, she would probably have no fate with the Azure Dragon Army. This had always been the Dragon King's style. He would reward those who did well and punish those who did wrong. If one did not perform any meritorious service after being punished, then the previous punishment could not be revoked. Right now, they didn't have the time to pay attention to Long Huaixin. The dragon princes focused on dealing with the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Everyone wanted to be the first to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. They wanted to be the first to achieve some results and show their imperial father. On the other side, Long Huaixin also heard about the Dragon Monarch's punishment. After the Dragon Monarch gave the order, the Azure Dragon army left immediately. Even though they had once obeyed Long Huaixin, the Azure Dragon army left without hesitation when the Dragon Monarch gave the order. In the future, without the Dragon God's orders, Long Huaixin would not be able to mobilize a single soldier of the Azure Dragon army. Lord Long had already left. At this moment, Long Huaixin was sitting in the main hall. Below him were a few rulers. They were all people who had sided with Long Huaixin. This time, when they attacked Shao Chun, Long Huaixin had exposed a lot of his hidden strength. It could be said that he had suffered a double loss. After all, it was obviously much better for these people to hide in the dark than to let them out in the open. Now, everyone knew about it. Perhaps it was because of this that the other brothers couldn't wait to hit him when he was down. Long Huaixin's hidden strength was much stronger than they had imagined. They would not allow Long Huaixin to do this. Being able to weaken Long Huaixin's strength was something that everyone wanted to see. Sitting on the main seat, Long Huaixin's expression was extremely ugly. She had thought that she would definitely be punished for this matter, but she had never thought that her imperial father would strip her of her command of the Azure Dragon army without saying anything. To be honest, Long Qing would rather her imperial father punish her than to see such an outcome. This punishment was too severe. Moreover, it directly made Long Huaixin's years of hard work go up in smoke. Without the Azure Dragon army, Long Huaixin instantly fell into a disadvantage in the battle against the other dragon sons. After all, they had what they did not have, and they had what they did not have. How could they not be at a disadvantage? Palace Master, since the Star Lord has spoken, this matter is a foregone conclusion. It can't be reversed. A ruler stood out and said. She knew that Long Huaixin was not feeling good, and so were they. As early as the day they followed Long Huaixin, they had no way out. They were bound together with Long Huaixin for good or ill. If Long Huaixin did not have a good life, their lives would not be good either. However, what could they do? Could they go to the Star Lord to plead for mercy? That was obviously impossible. Long Huaixin also knew this. It would be fine if they did not go. Once they did, it would only make their imperial father hate them more and think that they were useless. As for Trash, the Dragon King's attitude towards them had always been clear. That was to get lost. Even his children were no exception to this. One had to know that the Dragon King did not only have 9 nieces, but after so many years of fighting, only the 9 of them were left. This meant that the other siblings had been eliminated. As for those who were eliminated, they were either dead or had gone somewhere to fend for themselves. Some had no ambition and were traveling the world, unwilling to participate in these trivial matters. Regarding this, the Dragon King had always ignored them. Everyone had their own ambitions. Even if it was his own son, the Dragon King would not hold back those who had no ambition. Moreover, once the Dragon King found out that you were a piece of trash, but even if it was his children, all cultivation resources would be stopped. In the Dragon King's words, Trash did not deserve to use his resources for cultivation. Hearing the words of the people below, Long Huaixin's expression turned ugly. Everyone, what do you think we should do now? Palace Lord, I feel that the first thing we should do now is to apologize to the Star Lord. There's no need to explain. Just admit your mistake and let the Star Lord know your attitude. The second thing we should do is to fight against the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Palace Lord has made a big mistake and urgently needs to prove yourself. The Star Lord clearly feels that we did not do a good job in the battle against the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Therefore, at this time, if the princess can achieve good results in the battle against the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, at least you can change the Star Lord's impression of you. At that time, this matter can slowly fade away. Even the Azure Dragon army might have a chance of recapturing it. Please add, recommend, vote. Chapter 3392. To put it bluntly, what Long Huaixin needed to do now was to change her father's impression of her. Hearing this, Long Huaixin nodded. Although she was a woman, Long Huaixin was also very decisive. After agreeing to the emperor's words, Long Huaixin immediately stood up. I'll go see my father now. With that, Long Huaixin went to the dragon god's palace alone. After reporting to the emperor, the dragon god did not refuse to see Long Huaixin. This made Long Huaixin overjoyed, and she unconsciously heaved a sigh of relief. She knew that since her father did not refuse to see her, it meant that there was still room to turn things around. This was because if her father was really disappointed in her, with his character, he would definitely not see her again. She would not even have the chance to admit her mistake. Now that her father did not refuse to see her, it meant that he was still willing to give Long Huaixin a chance. Soon, Long Huaixin arrived at the main hall. When she saw the dragon god, she bowed respectfully. Father, I know I was wrong. She did not explain herself at all. It would be meaningless no matter what she said now. On the contrary, it would only make the dragon god dislike her even more. Long Huaixin was very clear about this. Hearing Long Huaixin's words, the dragon god looked at her calmly and said slowly, I have so many children. Although you are a woman, you are not inferior to my other brothers. In my heart, you are very good. The dragon god did not blame Long Huaixin. His voice was calm, but he did praise Long Huaixin. Speaking of this, the dragon god paused for a while before continuing. Although you caused people to die this time, no one is perfect. There will always be failures. This is a setback, but it is also an experience. This failure is nothing, but you have to be punished for your mistakes. That's why I removed your Azure Dragon army. I hope that this failure will not defeat you. Instead, it will make you brave again. Go. If you want to return to the Azure Dragon army, then exchange for it with military merits. After preparing for so long, it's time to make a move. The Dragon King encouraged Long Huaixin. He didn't blame Long Huaixin for his failure. Hearing this, Long Huaixin was stunned for a moment, then hurriedly nodded. Don't worry, Imperial Father. Your daughter will definitely not disappoint Imperial Father. Take out even better battle achievements than your brothers, and the Azure Dragon army will still be yours. The Dragon Monarch gave a Long Huaixin answer. If they wanted to return to the Azure Dragon army, they had to show more outstanding military achievements than the others and surpass their brothers. This is the only way to cover up your previous failure. When the time comes and you want to return to the Azure Dragon army, the other brothers won't be able to do anything. This was the Dragon Monarch. He would not favor any child, but he would not hate any child either. The opportunity was the same. It was up to them whether they could seize it. This time, if Long Huaixin still didn't achieve anything, the Azure Dragon army would probably fall into the hands of others. At that time, they had no choice but to accept it because they were inferior to others. It wasn't that Imperial Father didn't give them a chance. Perhaps it was because of the Dragon Monarch's personality that Long Huaixin and the other 9 dragon sons were very respectful to their Imperial Father, even though they had been fighting endlessly. This was because their Imperial Father dealt with things fairly. He always spoke based on results and facts. No one will be favored. This made the 9 dragon sons accept it wholeheartedly. After hearing the Dragon Monarch's words, Long Huaixin said in a deep voice, Don't worry, Imperial Father. Go. After leaving the Dragon Monarch's place, Long Huaixin's mood calmed down a lot. At least his Imperial Father had temporarily passed. What he needed to do next was to fight a good battle and make up for his previous failure in one fell swoop. Moreover, he had to do better than the other brothers. It had to be said that Long Huaixin was under a lot of pressure, much more than the other brothers. This was because he had to do better than the others to make up for his previous failure. However, this was already the best outcome for Long Huaixin. At least he still had a chance. His Imperial Father did not completely deny him because of one failure. He still gave him a chance to prove himself. Long Huaixin was rubbing his fists and preparing to make a comeback. In the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, Shao Chun and Xian Yuanling had already brought Long Qing back to the Western Imperial Palace. Shao Chun listened to Huang Yi's suggestion and let Long Qing recuperate in the Western Imperial Palace because he wasn't sure if Long Huaixin and the others in the Azure Dragon Galaxy would still make a move. If it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't let Long Qing go to the front line again. At the same time, after arriving at the Western Imperial Palace, Shao Chun and Huang immediately brought Long Qing to the Star-Lord. Until now, no one had figured out why Long Huaixin and Lord Long valued Long Qing so much. Although Long Qing guessed that it was because of her bloodline, she still didn't know the truth. Huang Yi couldn't see the uniqueness of Long Huaixin's bloodline. Now, they could only wait and see if the Star-Lord had the ability to do so. After hearing the intentions of Shao Chun and Huang Yi, the Star-Lord didn't refuse. In other words, he was very interested in Long Qing. Long Qing's bloodline couldn't be simple since the two dragon sons in the Azure Dragon Galaxy valued her so much that they were even willing to fight each other. The Star-Lord personally probed the power of Long Qing's bloodline. However, even so, the Star-Lord still didn't find anything. It wasn't that the Star-Lord's cultivation was too weak, but because the Fire Phoenix Galaxy didn't know anything about the Dragon Clan's bloodline. What they knew was very one-sided. It was like showing a person from Foam people or Phoenix people to the Dragon King. He wouldn't be able to find anything either. Because he didn't know anything, he couldn't make an accurate judgment at all. This had nothing to do with the level of cultivation. With some doubts in his heart, the Star-Lord looked to Huang Yi and Shao Chun. Our Fire Phoenix Galaxy still doesn't know much about the Dragon Clan. I can't tell either. However, I feel that Long Qing's bloodline hasn't fully awakened yet. After it awakens, we might be able to find some clues. This was the Star-Lord's guess, and it had to be said that this guess was completely correct. Why didn't the Dragon Lord and Long Huaixin make a move? Wasn't it because Long Qing's bloodline power hadn't fully awakened yet? Once Long Qing's bloodline power was fully awakened, it wouldn't be the same as it was now. After saying that, the Star-Lord looked at Long Qing and said, "You said that in the Azure Dragon Galaxy, the Emperor of the Azure Dragon Galaxy specially taught you a set of cultivation methods." "That's right." Hearing this, Long Qing nodded. Long Sun had indeed taught him a set of cultivation methods. But what made Long Qing feel strange was that this set of cultivation methods didn't seem to be powerful. Moreover, after Long Qing cultivated it, he didn't feel any increase in his cultivation or strength. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3393. Long Huaixin did not hide anything from the Star-Lord's inquiry. After all, there was nothing to hide. She told the Star-Lord about her feelings truthfully. Hearing this, the Star-Lord asked Long Qing to write down the cultivation technique for her to see. With the Star-Lord's eyesight, she could tell at a glance that this cultivation technique was not for improving one's cultivation at all. It was for improving one's bloodline power, or rather, awakening it. Among the Foam people and Phoenix people, there was also such a technique. It was not considered something too formal. The only difference was that the cultivation technique that Long Sun taught Long Qing was specially created for the Dragon Clan. It was not useful for other bloodlines. Therefore, after just a glance, the Star-Lord lost interest. However, through this cultivation technique, the Star-Lord still had a guess in her heart. Just as Long Qing said, the Azure Dragon Galaxy should have valued Long Qing's bloodline power. Or rather, there was some secret in Long Qing's bloodline power that they did not know. However, at the moment, the Star-Lord was unable to give an accurate answer. After thinking about it, the Star-Lord looked at Shao Chun, Xian Yuanling, and Huang Yi and said, "Let Long Qing stay in the West Imperial Palace first. You can continue to cultivate this cultivation technique. All the resources can be withdrawn from the West Imperial Palace's treasury. Don't worry. There's no problem with this cultivation technique. There's no harm in continuing to cultivate it." Perhaps worried that Long Qing would misunderstand, the Star-Lord added halfway through his sentence. Hearing this, Shao Chun, Xian Yuanling, and Huang Yi all understood what the Star Lord meant. That was, for the time being, they could not see what was wrong with Long Qing's bloodline. However, if Long Qing continued to cultivate this cultivation technique that Long Sun was fighting with, as her bloodline power continued to be activated, they would naturally find out when the time came. Regarding this, Xiao Chun was a little worried. Huang Yi, who was at the side, immediately saw through the boy's thoughts and said with a smile, "Don't worry, this is also an opportunity for this little girl. If the secret in her bloodline can really be stimulated, it will definitely be a good thing for her." After thinking about it, Xiao Chun nodded. Since the Star Lord had personally seen this set of cultivation methods, he had said that there were no problems. Moreover, Xiao Chun had already studied this set of cultivation methods before, and he couldn't find any problems with it. Xiao Chun had even studied it over and over again, but the answer was the same every time. In this case, perhaps there really wasn't any harm. Just like that, Longqing was left in the West Imperial Palace to protect her. At least she would be safe in the West Imperial Palace. Moreover, for her cultivation, there were only benefits and no disadvantages. However, Xiao Chun still had to go to the front line. Now that the fighting between the two sides was becoming more and more frequent, the front line couldn't be left unguarded. Before leaving, Long Qing was a little worried about Xiao Chun's safety. In this regard, Xiao Chun said with a smile, "Don't worry, with my strength, even if I can't defeat them, I have no problem protecting myself." These words were said with great confidence. Of course, this also came from Xiao Chun's strength. In response, Long Qing said in a bad mood, "Nonsense. No matter how strong you are, you have to be careful. This is not a joke. The strength of the Azure Dragon Galaxy is stronger than ours. You have to be especially careful at the front line. Moreover, this time you have offended 2 dragon princes from the Azure Dragon Galaxy." It was obvious that Lord Long and Long Huaixin must hate Xiao Chun now. Long Qing's worry about the 2 of them seeking revenge was not without reason. Knowing that Long Qing was concerned about him, Xiao Chun smiled and nodded. "Got it, I will be careful." After persuading Long Qing in every possible way, Xiao Chun set off for the front line. Xin Yuanling was still under the North King's command. After all, as an array master, Xin Yuanling naturally could not be used as an ordinary warrior. Compared to his battle prowess, his cultivation in array formations was more important. The 3 siblings separated again, but this time, Xiao Chun and Xin Yuanling were relieved. First of all, they did not have to worry about Xin Yuanling and Long Qing's safety. Even Xin Yuanling would not go to the front line, but would stay behind with the main force. As for Xiao Chun, he was confident that he could protect himself, so they did not have to worry too much. It did not take long for Xiao Chun to return to the fortress in the 7th region. Seeing that Xiao Chun had returned, Zi Xian and Lai Wan joked, "You are really bold. You actually dared to go to the Azure Dragon Galaxy with Lin Yan." "That's right. Moreover, you didn't even tell us before you went. You made us worry for so long." The only complaint they had was that Xiao Chun did not inform them when he went to the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Did he treat them as outsiders? Xiao Chun smiled and said, not minding it at all, "It's my fault. I will treat you to a drink. Okay? You want to send us away with a drink?" Zi Xian retorted. Seeing that, Xiao Chun was not annoyed and continued to smile. "Then I will treat you to a month's worth of good wine. You can drink whatever you want. Is that okay? Are you serious?" Lai Wan's eyes lit up when he heard that. He knew very well that Xiao Chun had a lot of good wine with him. Xiao Chun was a wine lover. Over the years, no matter where he went, Xiao Chun had a habit of keeping some special wine. Moreover, with Xiao Chun's current status, the wine that he had his eyes on would not be bad. There were even a few top-notch wines that even old Dong Wang craved for. However, Xiao Chun could not bear to drink them. At that moment, hearing Xiao Chun's words, Lai Wan was naturally excited. "Really?" Seeing that, Xiao Chun smiled and nodded. With that, Lai Wan and Zi Xian finally let Xiao Chun go. The next few days seemed to be peaceful, and Long Huaixin and Long Qing didn't seem to have any intention of taking revenge. However, would the 2 of them give up just like that? It was obviously impossible, especially Long Huaixin. She urgently needed a great victory to prove herself in front of her father. Her first target was Xiao Chun. In the Azure Dragon Galaxy, in Long Qing's residence, the four sovereigns below looked at Long Huaixin, who was sitting on the main seat. Indeed, Long Huaixin's strength was greatly reduced after the Azure Dragon Army's command was taken away. At that moment, Long Huaixin was only left with the four sovereigns. Long Huaixin said plainly as the four of them stared at her, "Is everything ready?" "Everything is ready, but are we really just going to target Xiao Chun this time?" asked Yi Futian. "That's right. We can't fail this time. We can only succeed. Everything else aside, Xiao Chun must die. We can't give him any chance to escape." Hearing that, Long Huaixin said coldly. Since they wanted a great victory, Long Huaixin's first target was naturally Xiao Chun. Please add, recommend, vote. Chapter 3394. Long Huaixin wanted a great victory. Of course, if it was just to kill Xiao Chun, a ruler of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, it would not be enough. However, Long Huaixin only treated it as revenge. After all, most of the reason why he was in such a state was because of Xiao Chun. He would kill Xiao Chun first. It could be considered an appetizer. According to Long Huaixin's understanding, Xiao Chun was just an ordinary ruler in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. With his strength, it should not be a problem to deal with him. Therefore, this time, Long Huaixin did not play any tricks and directly went to kill Xiao Chun. He had gathered most of his elite forces, tens of thousands of people, and these people's cultivation bases were not low. Moreover, there was also Long Huaixin and the four rulers under him. A total of 5 rulers were attacking. This time, he wanted to see what Xiao Chun could do. He did not know that Long Huaixin wanted to kill him and was ready to make a move. After returning to the fortress in the 7th region, Xiao Chun began to work step by step. He did what he needed to do every day. The only difference was that Long Qing contacted him almost every day. Xiao Chun also knew that she was worried about his safety, so he did not say anything. On the other hand, Long Qing was worth mentioning. In the Western Imperial Palace, Long Qing took the initiative to cultivate. The effect was naturally completely different from in the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Therefore, in just the past few days, Long Qing had a hazy and strange feeling. She could not put her finger on it, nor could she explain it clearly. However, she told Xiao Chun that the bloodline in her body seemed to have undergone some kind of change. Although the change was very small and could even be ignored, it was real. Just as Huang Yi and Star-Lord had said, there was something hidden in Long Qing's bloodline. Xiao Chun thought about it and asked Long Qing to continue practicing and observe. If there were any problems, she could go directly to Huang Yi or Old Master Donghuang. Xiao Chun trusted the two of them. They wouldn't hurt Long Qing. Xiao Chun was sure about that. As usual, Xiao Chun remained in the fort to cultivate while Lai Wan went out to patrol. As for Zixuan, she was resting today and was probably still tending to her flowers and plants. Zixian's only hobby was her flowers and plants. She practically carried them with her everywhere she went. Whenever she had the time, she would definitely take out these flowers and plants and play with them. Regarding this, Xiao Chun expressed that he was very confused. Perhaps he was a man, or perhaps he wasn't old enough and didn't have enough temperament. Therefore, Xiao Chun was really not interested in raising flowers and plants. However, it had to be said that each of Zixian's flowers and plants was not cheap. They could almost be considered supreme treasures. There were even 1 or 2 that even Xiao Chun was envious of. If he could refine them, it would definitely be very beneficial to his cultivation. However, this was just a thought. If he really touched Zixian's flowers and plants, she would probably have to fight with her life. After raising them for so many years, Zixian couldn't bear to refine them. Furthermore, in order to obtain these flowers and plants, she had spent a lot of effort. Everything was the same as usual. However, as Lai Wan returned covered in blood, Xiao Chun and Zixian were immediately alarmed. What's wrong? Sensing Lai Wan's aura, which was still very weak, Xiao Chun immediately appeared in front of him. Looking at Lai Wan's miserable appearance, Xiao Chen frowned and asked. Hearing that, Lai Wan spat out a mouthful of blood and said in a grave tone, "The Star Alliance suddenly attacked. The Fire Phoenix Galaxy has suddenly attacked. Moreover, there are quite a few people this time. There's even a ruler among them." A ruler? Hearing this, Xiao Chen felt that it was even more strange. It was not that a ruler from the Azure Dragon Galaxy had appeared, but why did he not notice it? It was worth noting that although Xiao Chen had always been in the fortress, his spiritual sense had always covered the entire 7th region. This was also the reason why the Fire Phoenix Galaxy was divided into regions. The size of each region could be easily covered by the spiritual sense of any ruler. This also meant that no matter where a ruler was, as long as he was in the region he was in charge of, he could sense every movement in the region at any time. However, just now, Xiao Chen did not sense the aura of a battle at all. If Lai Wan had not run back with injuries, Xiao Chen would still be in the dark. Did they avoid my spiritual sense? He thought to himself. There was only one explanation for this, and that was that the Azure Dragon Galaxy had used a magic weapon, and the weapon's grade was not low. Not only could it avoid it, but could also conceal the aura of a battle so that he did not notice it. This magic weapon could not be a low-grade one. But what's the purpose of using a magic weapon? Since they're here to attack, why do they have to do this? This was because even if they used such a magic weapon, it would be impossible to hide it from me. They can hide it for a while, but can they hide it forever? It was like drawing legs on a snake. Xiao Chen could not understand. All of a sudden, Xiao Chen felt that countless auras were rushing toward the fortress. They were not martial artists from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, but martial artists from the Azure Dragon Galaxy. After seeing who the leader was, Xiao Chen instantly understood everything. It turns out that they're coming for me. Xiao Chen immediately understood that Long Huaixin was leading people straight toward him. Nonetheless, seeing that Long Huaixin had brought so many people, Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Is this the strength of the Azure Dragon Galaxy's Dragon Son? This is quite a big move. 5 rulers, more than 10 warlord ancestors, more than 100 holy ancestors, and thousands of other martial artists of various ranks. There were not many people, but each of them was not weak. With such strength, the 7th region could not contend against them. Therefore, without hesitation, Xiao Chen immediately contacted the West Imperial Palace and Lin Yin. Lin Yin was the closest to him and could rush over as soon as possible. However, Lin Yin alone could only stall for time. The most important thing was to rely on the support of the West Imperial Palace. Just as Xiao Chen sent out 2 messages in a row, Long Huaixin and her people appeared above the fortress. Her gaze was directly fixed on Xiao Chen. As for the other people in the 7th region, Long Huaixin directly ignored them. To her, these people were just ants. Xiao Chen, we meet again. Yes, we meet again. I didn't expect you to be so impatient. Hearing this, Xiao Chen replied with a smile. There was even a teasing smile on the corner of his mouth. These words sounded a little strange. It was as if Long Huaixin had taken a look at Xiao Chen and could not wait to come. Long Huaixin's eyes flashed with a hint of meaning as she said coldly, "You're sharp-tongued. You don't even know that you're about to die. That's hard to say. Maybe you won't be willing to kill me when the time comes? Please collect, recommend, and vote." Chapter 3395. In front of Long Huaixin, Xiao Chen spoke without thinking. This was not because Xiao Chen had any thoughts about her, but because he wanted to stall for time. It would take some time for Lin Yun to arrive. Now, Xiao Chen did not mind talking nonsense with Long Huaixin. Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Long Huaixin looked terrible and said coldly, "Where's Long Qing? If you hand over Long Qing, I can spare your life today." Long Qing? Hearing this, Xiao Chen smiled. This woman was still thinking about Long Qing. It seemed that Huang Yi was right. Long Huaixin and Long Qing had never given up on Long Qing. However, how could Xiao Chen hand over Long Qing? Moreover, Long Qing was not with him now, and he had lost the West Imperial Palace. Even if Long Huaixin wanted to snatch it, it was impossible. Seeing that Xiao Chun had no intention of replying, Long Huaixin knew that Long Qing was most likely not here. Because just now, Long Huaixin had used his divine thought to search the fortress in the 7th area, but he did not find Long Qing's whereabouts. If Long Qing was still with Xiao Chun, it was definitely good news for Long Huaixin. Not only could they kill Xiao Chun, but they could also snatch Long Qing. It was a double blessing. Unfortunately, Long Qing was not here. However, Long Huaixin did not dwell on this matter too much. From the moment Xiao Chun successfully rescued Long Qing, Long Huaixin knew that it would be very difficult to snatch Long Qing back. After all, it had happened once. How could Xiao Chun and the others not be prepared? When he thought of this, Long Huaixin did not want to waste any more time with Xiao Chun. He immediately shouted coldly, "Do it, kill him." With that, Long Huaixin led his men to attack Xiao Chun. At the same time, Lin Yun finally arrived. The area that Lin Yun was in charge of was right next to Xiao Chen's Area 7, so he immediately rushed over after receiving Xiao Chen's message. Seeing that Lin Yun had arrived, Xiao Chen's heart calmed down. With Lin Yun's help, he could hold on against Long Huaixin. Although Long Huaixin's side had 5 rulers, with the strength of Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, it was impossible for them to kill them in a short period. As for Xiao Chun, he only needed to stall for time until reinforcements arrived. With that thought in mind, Xiao Chun said to Zixuan and the other martial artists from Area 7 behind him, "Let's stall for time. There's no need to fight head-on." This was also to tell everyone in advance. Hearing this, Zixuan and the others nodded. They could naturally see the current situation. After saying that, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun attacked at the same time. Lin Yun held back 3 of the rulers alone. Of course, the result was that Lin Yun was at a disadvantage after just one exchange. "You're courting death." The 3 of them saw that Lin Yun dared to fight against 3 of them alone. They were all rulers, so he was not giving them face at all. However, Lin Yun had no choice. If he did not want to stall for time, how could Lin Yun fight 3 rulers alone? Everyone's cultivation was about the same. No matter how strong Lin Yun was, he was not strong enough to fight 3 of them alone. After all, those who could break through to become rulers were all talented people. There might be a gap between them, but it was definitely not the kind that was heaven and earth. It was impossible for a good-for-nothing to break through to become a ruler. Being suppressed by the 3 of them, it was clear that they wanted to kill Lin Yun on the spot. As for Lin Yun, he could only defend and stall for time. He did not fight the 3 of them head-on at all. Just like Lin Yun, Xiao Chun was facing Long Huaixin and another ruler. To be honest, Xiao Chun was under more pressure than Lin Yun. After all, Long Huaixin's strength was not inferior to Xiao Chun's at all. In a one-on-one situation, Xiao Chun and Long Huaixin were evenly matched. Neither of them dared to say that they could win against the other party. Moreover, Long Huaixin had another ruler by his side, so Xiao Chun had to be on guard against him at all times. As such, it was naturally impossible for him to deal with Long Huaixin with all his strength. Under such circumstances, it was understandable that Xiao Chun was suppressed. I didn't expect there to be a pleasant surprise. 2 rulers. Not bad. Seeing Lin Yun appear, Long Huaixin did not panic at all. In fact, Long Huaixin was secretly delighted by Lin Yun's arrival. He thought that he could only kill Xiao Chun this time, but who would have thought that someone else would come knocking on his door? Killing 2 rulers in one battle was not a small gain. When he returned, he could explain it to his father. Long Huaixin was secretly delighted. Of course, she also knew that the Fire Phoenix Galaxy was definitely on the way to provide reinforcements. She had to end the battle before the reinforcements arrived. Otherwise, she would be at a disadvantage. At that time, the situation would be reversed. However, Long Huaixin was also confident that she could completely kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun before the reinforcements arrived. "Xiao Chun, you won't be able to wait for reinforcements today." This was a battle of time. Long Huaixin did not hide the killing intent in her heart at all. She had to kill Xiao Chun before reinforcements arrived. As for Xiao Chun, he had to hold on until reinforcements arrived. Hearing Long Huaixin's words, Xiao Chun said indifferently while resisting, "Who knows? Long Huaixin was indeed very strong, as expected of the dragon son of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Facing her, Shao Chun had to deal with her with all his might. He could not be careless at all. As for the ruler beside her, although he was not as strong as her, he could not be ignored. Shao Chun did not dare to be hit by him while being unprepared. After all, the attack from the palace was not a small problem. If he was not careful, he would be seriously injured. At that time, he would not be able to block Long Huaixin. Therefore, Shao Chun and Long Huaixin fought very carefully. They did not fight head-on with Long Huaixin at all. As long as they could dodge, they would definitely do so. If they could not dodge, they could only defend. During this period, Shao Chun did not think of counterattacking at all because it was meaningless. Once he revealed a flaw, it would be even more troublesome. Shao Chun's performance was already very obvious. He did not hope to injure or defeat Long Huaixin. He just wanted to stall for time. In any case, during this period of time, it would be fine as long as he did not let Long Huaixin and Long Huaixin take him down. How could Long Huaixin not know Shao Chun's thoughts? After a fierce battle, she did not cause any substantial damage to Shao Chun, which made Long Huaixin extremely dissatisfied. This guy was simply too slippery. He did not give her any chance at all. This made Long Huaixin feel like she had punched out with all her might. But in the end, she had punched cotton. Who could stand this? Long Huaixin shouted after Shao Chun repeatedly dodged her attacks. Do you only know how to dodge? Idiot. In this regard, Shao Chun could not be bothered to say anything more. He sneered. At the moment, the difference in strength between the two of them was so great. If he did not dodge or stall for time, would he have to fight head-on? Please add, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3396. Shao Chun did not fight head-on with Long Huaixin, which made Long Huaixin very unhappy. Since the beginning of the fight, Long Huaixin had always had the absolute advantage. It could be said that Shao Chun could only defend himself and did not have the slightest strength to fight back. However, even though Long Huaixin had the upper hand, Shao Chun's fighting style left Long Huaixin unable to do anything to him in a short period of time. He had the advantage, but he could not turn it into a victory. Moreover, the longer the fight dragged on, the more the Fire Phoenix Galaxy's reinforcements would arrive. At that time, Long Huaixin would be at a disadvantage. After all, this was the Fire Phoenix Galaxy's territory. His reinforcements would definitely not be as good as others. He had to kill Shao Chun as soon as possible. He could not delay any longer. Long Huaixin became more ruthless. Unfortunately, even though Long Huaixin did not hold back and wanted to kill Shao Chun as soon as possible, under such circumstances, Long Huaixin still did not succeed in seriously injuring Shao Chun. Shao Chun did not give Long Huaixin any chance at all. Just like Shao Chun and Lin Yun, Zixuan and the others were also at a disadvantage. After all, there was a huge gap in strength between the two sides, and this could not be made up for. At this moment, they could only stall for time. The longer they delayed, the more hope they had of waiting for reinforcements to arrive. While the two sides were fighting fiercely, the West Imperial Palace also received a message from Shao Chun. Hearing that Long Huaixin had personally led his men to attack the fortress in the 7th region, the rulers were stunned at first, but then they had different thoughts. Even the Dragon Sun has been mobilized. There are also 4 rulers. Is the Azure Dragon Galaxy ready? A battle between rulers had suddenly broken out, and there was more than one ruler. The deep meaning behind this could not help but make people think. Moreover, this wasn't good news for the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. After all, the Fire Phoenix Galaxy wasn't fully prepared. It wasn't the best time for a war to break out. But that's how war is. It's impossible for everything to start after you're ready. You may think that way, but the other side isn't willing. Hearing this, a ruler spoke. No matter what, we should send people to the 7th region as soon as possible. With Shao Chun's strength, they definitely won't be able to resist. Not bad. Although everyone had different opinions, some believed that it was too early to start a war. Some people believed that since Long Huaixin dared to personally bring people into the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, this was an opportunity. The The Fire Phoenix Galaxy could beat Long Huaixin at his own game and keep him here. Thinking about it, if he could kill a dragon son of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, that would be an amazing thing. But no matter what, saving people was a must. There was no doubt about the importance of a ruler. Moreover, Shao Chun was a very talented ruler. Even the Star-Lord thought highly of him and took good care of him. Just look at Long Qing's matter. Let's set off as soon as possible. I'll go personally. Old man Dong Huang was the most anxious. Moreover, he also planned to personally rescue Shao Chun. Of course, he alone wasn't enough. Moreover, if the Fire Phoenix Galaxy wanted to keep Long Huaixin here, they had to have enough strength. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to do this at all. It was very likely that Long Huaixin would escape. Other than old man Dong Huang, the West Emperor immediately said that he would go with them. The other rulers did the same. As for the martial artists below, it was much simpler. They just had to send some of them out. In the end, everyone quickly discussed that old man Dong Huang and the other 8 would go to the rescue. However, it would still take some time to travel from the West Imperial Palace to the 7th Region's fortress, so someone suggested. I think we can also contact the rulers in the other region's fortresses at the front line to go to the rescue. This way, we can arrive faster and delay the enemy. Once we arrive, we can kill the dragon son of the Azure Dragon Galaxy in one fell swoop. This was a good idea. After all, it was obviously much faster to provide support from the front line than from the West Imperial Palace. They didn't need to be able to defeat the enemy. They just needed to reduce the pressure on Shao Chun and delay him. Therefore, this suggestion was quickly adopted by the others. At the same time, someone immediately began to contact the front line. Old man Dong Huang and the other 8 also set off. As for the other martial artists, they were a step behind. After all, their speed couldn't be compared to that of the rulers. Everything was proceeding in an orderly manner. Moreover, it didn't take too long. From start to finish, a decision was made in the time it took to brew a cup of tea. From the beginning to the end, the Star-Lord didn't interfere. After all, the rulers were enough to deal with this matter. Just like the Dragon King, he only gave the order to attack. He didn't care about the rest. It was up to them to do what they wanted. As the Star-Lord, if he had to deal with all the big and small matters himself, it would only show that he was too incompetent. Therefore, the Star-Lord usually wouldn't interfere in these matters, and the rulers wouldn't waste time specially reporting to him for instructions. After all, they also had to prove their value and weren't a bunch of good-for-nothings. The West Imperial Palace's rescue had already set off, and the major regions at the front line had also received the order to provide support. However, the 2 great ancestors of the Phone people were also at the front line. At this moment, after receiving the news, the old woman immediately went to the old man and said with an excited smile, "Good opportunity. We can finally take revenge." Hearing this, the old man asked with some confusion, "What good opportunity? What revenge?" The old man was already prepared to provide support. After all, in the face of the Azure Dragon Galaxy, no matter how great the enmity between him and Shao Chun was, the most basic thing was to unite against the enemy. The old man didn't think too much about this. However, in this regard, the old woman said with a sneer on her face, that Long Huaixin led the troops to attack the 7th region. The 7th region alone is no match for them at all. Even with Lin Yun's support, we can totally kill them with a borrowed knife. The old woman said excitedly. Hearing this, the old man finally reacted and said with some disbelief, "You mean we're not going to provide support?" He understood what the Elder Masterby meant. Previously, Shao Chun and Lin Yun had a grudge against the Phone people, and the old man and old woman had suffered a lot in the hands of Shao Chun and Lin Yun. To be honest, the old woman had long wanted to take revenge, but the 2 of them were no match for Shao Chun and Lin Yun now. Therefore, even though she hated Shao Chun and Lin Yun to the core, there was nothing she could do. This time, she heard that Long Huaixin personally led the troops to attack the 7th region. Moreover, it was a fierce attack, and Shao Chun couldn't resist at all. The old woman suddenly felt that the opportunity had come. If she could use this opportunity to get rid of Xiao Chun through the hands of Long Huaixin, wouldn't she be able to take revenge? Moreover, for the Feng people, this was great news. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. Please add, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3397. The old man guessed what the old woman meant. However, it was an order from the West Imperial Palace. Would it not be good if they did not go to support them? It was too obvious. Seeing the old man's worry, the old woman sneered indifferently. What's the big deal? When the time comes, who will speak up for two dead people? Although doing this might cause the other rulers to be dissatisfied, as long as they could kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, it was not a big deal to the old woman. After all, the two of them were rulers and the great ancestors of the Feng people. Their status was not low. In addition, if Xiao Chun and Lin Yun died in battle, who would speak up for two dead people? A dead person had no value to speak of. Hearing the old woman's words, the old man fell into deep thought and said, after a moment, "What do you plan to do?" In response, the old woman sneered. It was obvious that she had already thought of a plan. According to the old woman, if it was just the two of them who did not go to support, it would not be of much use. This was because even if the two of them did not go, the other rulers would still go to support them. Therefore, the old woman's intention was to stop the others from supporting them. As for how to stop them, it was to use the formation. As long as the formation was used to stop the people who went to support them, it would not take too long. As long as they could stall for time, with the difference in strength between the two sides, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would not be able to hold on for so long. Hearing this, the old man frowned. This was openly stopping the rescue. Wasn't it a little too much? Besides, wouldn't the Star Lord pursue the matter after this? It was obvious that this was a covert attack. In response, the old woman sneered. So what if everyone knows? The winner takes all. As long as we can kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, it's enough. As for the rest, who cares? Besides, the Star Lord won't blame us when the time comes. After all, in the current situation, she needs a ruler. Otherwise, can she rely on herself to deal with the Azure Dragon Galaxy? Thus, this time around, the two of us must definitely kill Xiao Chun and his companion. The old woman was gambling on whether she could kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. As long as the two of them were killed, the old woman, the old man, and the entire Feng people would be fine. But what if they failed to kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun? They would probably have to face everyone's contempt, as well as Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's thunderous revenge. Of course, all of this would depend on whether Long Huaixin was strong enough, and how long the old woman and old man could stall for time. The longer the battle dragged on, the later reinforcements would arrive, and the higher the chances of Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, and the others dying. He didn't dare to make a decision for the time being. Looking at the old man's appearance, the old woman said with dissatisfaction, "What are you hesitating for? Think about how much humiliation the Feng people have suffered since these two fellows appeared. Several God-favored ones have been killed, and the two of us have lost face several times. Are you still indifferent? If we don't kill these two fellas, where will the Feng people's face go? Look at who still puts us, the Feng people, in their eyes now." The old woman's words indeed caused the old man's expression to change slightly. Indeed, the Feng people were no longer as glorious as before. This was something that the old man could not accept. Thinking of this, the old man made up his mind and said coldly, "Let's do it then." As they spoke, the two of them directly left the area they were guarding and rushed toward the seventh area. Naturally, they were not going to provide reinforcements, but to stop them. At the periphery of the seventh area, the old woman took out several formation boards from her interspatial ring. These formation boards were not of low grades. Even a ruler would need some time to crack them. If it was any other time, this bit of time might not be a big deal. However, at this moment, it was a race against time. If one was blocked by such a formation, it would be fatal. In order to kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, the old woman had put in a lot of effort. These formation boards were her treasures for many years. With a wave of her hand, she directly activated these formation boards. Just like that, the old woman built a huge trapping formation outside the seventh area's fortress. In this way, no matter which direction people came from, they would not be able to get close to the fortress unless they broke this formation. After doing all this, the old woman sneered. Not long after, Old Master Dong Wang and the others rushed over. When they saw the formation from afar, everyone frowned. Is this a formation set up by the Azure Dragon Galaxy to prevent us from providing reinforcements? At first, everyone guessed that this formation was set up by the Azure Dragon Galaxy. After all, in order to prevent reinforcement from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, it was understandable that they set up a formation to block reinforcements. However, when everyone came in front of the formation to take a look, the West Emperor's face darkened, and he immediately said coldly, "This is not the work of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. I'm afraid this isn't the doing of the Azure Dragon Galaxy. Someone just doesn't want us to rescue Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yan." The West Emperor was too familiar with the formation in front of him. Not only him, but the other sovereigns present could also see it. This was because this formation was their Fire Phoenix Galaxy's formation. To be precise, it was the formation of the Foam People. Immediately, everyone thought of the two great ancestors of the Foam People. The Foam People and Xiao Chun and Lin Yan originally had a grudge, but who would have thought that at such a critical moment, when facing such a great enemy like the Azure Dragon Galaxy, the Foam People did not care about the overall situation at all and actually wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. They used the formation to block reinforcements so that they could use Long Huaixin to kill Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yan. Old Master Donghuang's expression was extremely ugly. This was something he absolutely did not expect. Damn it, he cursed angrily. Had the two great ancestors of the Foam People completely gone crazy? Were they trying to betray them? They actually helped foreign enemies to murder the sovereigns of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. This was simply unacceptable to everyone. It was not strange that there were internal conflicts, but when facing foreign enemies, everyone knew that they should unite against them. However, the old woman and the old man actually did such a thing. This had already crossed everyone's bottom line. Looking at the sovereigns present, other than Old Master Dong Wang and the West Emperor, the others were actually not close to Xiao Chun and Lin Yan. However, the moment they received Xiao Chen's message, they still rushed over in a hurry. This was not a personal relationship, but for the sake of the overall situation. However, the old woman and the old man completely ignored the overall situation and did such a thing for the sake of personal grudges. How could the other sovereigns accept this? If they could do such a thing to Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yan today, would they not use the same method on others in the future? If they could not work together, how could the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, which was already weaker, fight against the Azure Dragon Galaxy? When the Fire Phoenix Galaxy was conquered, it would be difficult for them to survive even if they surrendered. This was what the sovereigns could not accept the most. The old woman and the old man had completely crossed everyone's bottom line. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3398. Looking at the formation in front of them, Old Master Dong Wang, the West Emperor, and the other rulers had ugly expressions. Who would have thought that they would be stopped before they could reach the fortress in the 7th district? Moreover, the people who blocked their way were from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. Let's break the formation first. Although they were angry, they had no other choice but to break the formation as soon as possible. They could only hope that Xiao Chun and the others could hold on for a while longer. Hearing Old Master Donghuang's words, the other rulers did not refute. They could only do so now. As for the two great ancestors of the Foam People, they would talk about it after the matter was resolved. As they spoke, the 8 rulers began to forcefully break the formation. There was no formation among them, so they could only break the formation by themselves. As for going to the West Imperial Palace to invite the North Emperor over, that was impossible. This was because it would waste a lot of time to go back and forth. Under the attack of the 8 rulers, layers of ripples began to appear in the formation. However, since it was of such a grade, there were no signs of it collapsing for the time being. Damn it! they're really willing to put in a lot of effort. While attacking, Old Master Dongwang was furious to the extreme. They wanted to force Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yun into a desperate situation. Even the 8 rulers could not break a formation of such a grade in an instant. It could be seen that the old woman and the old man had put in a lot of effort. At the same time, there were also people attacking from the other directions of the formation. However, their progress was even slower than Old Master Dongwang and the others. Therefore, if even Old Master Dongwang and the others could not break the formation, it was even more impossible for these people. For a time, the powerhouses of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy who came from all directions were blocked by the formation and could not pass through. The old woman and the old man naturally sensed everything around the formation. At this moment, the old woman had a sneer on her face. It'll take at least an hour for Dongwang and the others to break the formation. That should be enough time. They had delayed Long Huaixin and the others for another hour. With the difference in strength between the two sides, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun should be dead for sure. Hearing this, the old man at the side did not say anything. Instead, he fell into silence. Now that he had calmed down, he understood the consequences of this matter. If they could really kill Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yun, then the Feng people should be fine. After all, dead people were worthless. At that time, the rulers might feel disdain for their methods, and even resent them. However, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun were already dead, so no one would stand out to seek justice for them. The Feng people were not afraid of Old Master Dongwang and a few others. Although it might make the Feng people's reputation even worse, so what? If it was worse, then so be it. In any case, the Feng people's reputation in the Fire Phoenix Galaxy wasn't that good. However, if they were unable to kill Xiao Chun and Lin Yun this time and let them escape this calamity, they would definitely be killed. At that time, it would be very troublesome. The entire Feng people would be in danger. Not to mention the others, just Xiao Chun and Lin Yun were simply 2 lunatics. When he thought of these 2 people, the old man felt a little afraid. Thinking back to last time, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun dared to directly attack in the West Imperial Palace after just a few words of ridicule. And this time, it was clear that the previous incident couldn't be compared to it. Once these 2 lunatics survived, with their personalities, the old man had no doubt that they would fight to the death with him. Moreover, if Xiao Chun and Lin Yun didn't die by then, it was hard to say if the other rulers would still stand on the Feng people's side. After all, it was indeed displeasing to do such a thing. Therefore, this action was a huge gamble. It could be said that the future of the entire Feng people was on the line. However, at this point, even the formation had been set up. It was impossible to regret, even if he wanted to. The old man could only pray in his heart that Long Huaixin and the others would be able to successfully kill Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yun. What a joke. As the ruler of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy, he actually prayed that the people of the Azure Dragon Galaxy would kill his own ruler. Moreover, as a ruler, he had to kill with a borrowed knife and pin all his hopes on others. This was an extremely shameful thing. Old Master Dongwang and the others didn't dare to hold back or delay in the slightest. They bombarded the formation with all their might. The sooner they blasted the formation open, the more chance Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would have to survive. At the same time, in the fortress in the 7th zone, Xiao Chun and the others were still fighting to the death. However, as time passed, the warriors in the 7th zone had suffered heavy casualties. Although everyone was trying their best to stall for time, there was a gap in strength after all. Moreover, so much time had passed, and many people couldn't hold on any longer. Even Xiao Chun and Lin Yun were heavily injured at this time. Xiao Chun had been trying his best not to fight Long Huaixin head-on. However, after such a long time, how could Long Huaixin, who had the upper hand, let Xiao Chun continue to do so? Xiao Chun wanted to dodge his attack, but Long Huaixin naturally wouldn't agree. Moreover, even if he tried his best to defend, the pressure of fighting 1 against 2 was too great. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth, and there were many more wounds on his body. Xiao Chun actually felt that something was wrong. After such a long time, Why hadn't the reinforcements from the West Imperial Palace arrived? Logically speaking, given the distance between the West Imperial Palace and the fortress in the 7th Zone, they should have arrived long ago. However, after such a long time, the reinforcements from the West Imperial Palace still hadn't arrived. This was very strange. Something must have gone wrong, but Xiao Chun still didn't know what the problem was. Damn it! Seeing the people below die one after another, Xiao Chun was furious, but there was nothing he could do. This was because he was already unable to hold on, let alone save the others. Therefore, Xiao Chun was powerless in the current situation. Seeing that Xiao Chen's injuries were getting worse and worse, Long Huaixin's killing intent became more and more intense. He sneered, "Xiao Chun, it seems that you won't be able to wait for reinforcements. Today will be the anniversary of your death." Seeing the opportunity to kill Xiao Chun, how could Long Huaixin let it go? He only needed to hit Xiao Chun a few more times, and he would no longer have the strength to fight back. At that time, it would be easy for him to kill him. Hearing Long Huaixin's words, Xiao Chun didn't respond. It was useless to say anything now, so he might as well conserve his strength and hold on. As for escaping, Xiao Chun had thought of it, but the chances of success were not high. Since Long Huaixin came prepared, how could he let him escape so easily? Therefore, even if the situation was like this, Xiao Chun still had only one choice. That was to hold on and wait for reinforcements. He had to hold on until the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy arrived. This was the only way to resolve the crisis. Please add, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3399. It was impossible to escape. Long Huaixin was obviously on guard against this, so he had blocked Xiao Chen's escape route. Xiao Chun and the others could only fight to the death. However, it was indeed strange that the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy had yet to appear. There must be something wrong. Calculating the time, even if they set off from the West Imperial Palace, the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy should have arrived by now. For the time being, they couldn't figure out what the problem was. On the other side, Lin Yun was also struggling to hold on. The pressure he was under was the same as Xiao Chen's. It was not easy for him to hold on until now when he was fighting 1 against 3. Once again, he was hit by Long Huaixin's palm. Although Xiao Chun was on guard and blocked most of the power, he was still injured. Even so, Long Huaixin's palm still caused Xiao Chun to spit out a mouthful of blood. As his injuries worsened, it became harder and harder for him to resist Long Huaixin's attacks. Looking at Xiao Chun, who was sent flying by his palm, Long Huaixin showed a faint smile on his face. Judging from the current situation, Xiao Chun could not hold on for much longer. As long as he was given a little more time, he would be able to kill Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun was already an arrow at the end of its flight, while Long Huaixin's confidence continued to increase. It seems that the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy won't be here. With that, Long Huaixin flashed and instantly caught up with Xiao Chun, attacking him fiercely. In the beginning, Xiao Chun was still able to resist 1 or 2 attacks. However, as Long Huaixin's attacks became fiercer and fiercer, Xiao Chun found it harder and harder to hold on. There was also a problem with his defense. Long Huaixin took advantage of this and punched Long Huaixin in the abdomen. Then, Xiao Chun attacked him like a storm. Obviously, Long Huaixin had no intention of holding back at all, let alone letting Xiao Chun go. Seeing Xiao Chun being beaten up by Long Huaixin, Lin Yun wanted to help, but he didn't have the strength to do so. At this moment, he couldn't even protect himself. The princess has made her move. Let's hurry. The 3 rulers who were besieging Lin Yun also launched their final attacks. They surrounded Lin Yun and launched a series of terrifying attacks, making it difficult for Lin Yun to fend them off. Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's lives could be said to be hanging by a thread, not to mention the others. They were almost dead. More than half of the Fire Phoenix Star System martial artists in the 7th Zone had died. Less than 1 in 10 were still alive. Even those who survived were now on the verge of death. This included Lai Wan, Zi Xian, and the other kings of the War Ancestor realm. Their auras were extremely weak, and their injuries were extremely serious. All of this was because the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix star system did not arrive in time. It was really difficult for the people of the 7th zone to resist. It could even be said that it was not easy for them to hold on until now. Dai Xiaochun. Under Long Huaixin's fierce attacks, Xiaochun's situation could be said to be one disaster after another. He was already in an extremely bad state, and after a fierce battle, he had completely reached his limit. Looking at Long Huaixin's punch towards him, Xiaochun tried his best to block it. Unfortunately, he didn't have the strength to do so. He watched as Long Huaixin's attack fell, but he was already powerless to do anything. Am I going to die? He thought helplessly and unwillingly. He didn't expect that he would end up like this. What was going on with the reinforcements from the West Imperial Palace? Xiaochun still didn't get an answer. Just as Xiaochun had no choice but to give up and Long Huaixin was full of confidence, Old Master Lin finally arrived. Finally, Old Master Dong Wang and the others arrived. After more than an hour, they forcefully broke through the matrix and arrived at the 7th zone. Seeing that Xiaochun was in a critical situation, but fortunately not dead, Old Master Lin was relieved. Without thinking too much, he immediately rushed in front of Xiaochun and blocked Long Huaixin's attack. Her sure kill attack had been blocked. One could imagine how angry Long Huaixin was. Moreover, the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix star system had arrived at the last moment. How could she accept this? Damn it, she cursed, but Old Master Lin didn't give Long Huaixin a chance to think too much. After blocking her attack, he and the West Imperial Palace attacked another emperor. The three of them attacked Long Huaixin together. When Xiaochun saw that reinforcements had finally arrived, he relaxed and fainted. This was probably the first time Xiaochun had been seriously injured and fainted after breaking through to the emperor level. It was obvious that the battle with Long Huaixin had caused Xiaochun a lot of damage. If Old Master Lin and the others had arrived a little later, Xiaochun would probably have been killed by Long Huaixin on the spot. The battle in the 7th zone was still going on, but with the arrival of Old Master Lin and the others, the situation was reversed. Long Huaixin and the others, who had originally had the upper hand, were now at a disadvantage. They were also at an absolute disadvantage in terms of numbers, especially at the emperor level. Facing the siege of Old Master Lin and the other two, no matter how strong Long Huaixin was, he couldn't fight against 4 people with 2 fists. At this moment, Long Huaixin seemed to have personally experienced what Xiaochun had felt just now. Previously, Xiaochun and Lin Yun had been suppressed by Long Huaixin by relying on their advantage in numbers. Moreover, as the situation reversed, an emperor said to Long Huaixin, "Princess, we have to retreat. Princess, we have to retreat. Otherwise, it will be even harder to escape." Since the reinforcements from the Fire Phoenix star system had arrived, they definitely couldn't continue to be entangled. As time passed, the number of people from the Fire Phoenix star system would only increase. And if the people from the Azure Dragon star system wanted to support them, it would be too troublesome. This was the advantage of being on home ground. His gaze was full of unwillingness as he looked at Xiaochun, who was seriously injured and unconscious. Just a little bit more, and he could have killed Xiaochun. However, just a little bit more, and he still failed in the end. Now, Xiaochun was seriously injured, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was on his last breath. However, Xiaochun was an emperor, and his vitality was extremely strong. As long as he couldn't be killed in one fell swoop, Xiaochun could recover. Moreover, it wouldn't take too long. If he had another 100 breaths of time, he would have been able to kill Xiaochun. However, at the last moment, he failed on the verge of success. Long Huaixin couldn't accept this. If he couldn't kill Xiaochun, then what was the point of standing here? Although it could be considered a heavy blow to the 7th zone, in reality, it didn't have much practical significance. The ancient martial art practitioners who had died were all ordinary ancient martial art practitioners. Regardless of whether it was the Azure Dragon star system or the Fire Phoenix star system, such ancient martial art practitioners were plentiful and could be replenished at any time. Only by killing Xiaochun could it be considered a real blow to the Fire Phoenix star system. However, it seemed that this was impossible now. Old Master Dong Wang and the others had arrived, and it was impossible for them to give Long Huaixin such an opportunity. Please add, recommend, and vote. Chapter 3400. Seeing that Long Huaixin still did not want to give up, she fought with Old Master Dong Wang and the other two while looking for an opportunity to stab Xiao Chun and kill him completely. At this moment, Xiao Chun was indeed at his weakest, and it was not an exaggeration to say that he had no power to fight back. However, how could Old Master Dong Wang and the others let Long Huaixin succeed? The two sides were entangled like this, and not long after, more and more ancient martial art practitioners from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy arrived as reinforcements. Seeing this scene, several emperors said to Long Huaixin, "Princess, we really have to leave. Otherwise, we won't be able to leave." If they did not leave now, when all the reinforcement from the Fire Phoenix Galaxy arrived, it would not be so easy for them to leave even if they wanted to. Hearing this, although Long Huaixin was still unwilling, she also knew that she had no other choice but to leave. Long Huaixin was unwilling because she was clearly about to kill Xiao Chun. If she had not had a chance in the beginning, Long Huaixin might have been able to accept it. Seeing that she had been given a chance but was disappointed, Long Huaixin could not accept this. "Let's go." Glancing coldly at Xiao Chun, Long Huaixin immediately gave the order to retreat. There was no other way, they had to retreat. Following Long Huaixin's order, many ancient martial art practitioners from the Azure Dragon Galaxy left the battlefield and retreated. In response, Old Master Dong Wang and the others did not give the order to pursue. There was no need for that. They were more concerned about Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's injuries. In a flash, he came to Xiao Chun's side and looked at the severely injured and unconscious Xiao Chun. After checking him, Old Master Dong Wang was relieved that his life was not in danger. Compared to Xiao Chun, Lin Yun's condition was obviously much better. At least she could still stand and move. Coming to Old Master Dong Wang's side, Lin Yun asked curiously, "Old Master, what's going on? Why did you arrive so late?" The reason why so many people in the 7th District had died was because the reinforcements from the Western Imperial Palace were too slow. As emperors, Old Master Dong Wang and the others should have arrived long ago, but they had yet to appear. It was precisely because the reinforcements had not arrived that Xiao Chun was so seriously injured and so many people had died in Zone 7. Hearing that, Old Master Dong Wang's eyes flashed coldly. However, this was not the place to talk, so he spoke to Lin Yun. "Let's go back first. We'll talk on the way." Regarding this, Lin Yun did not insist. She still trusted Old Master Dong Wang. With Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, Zixian, and Lai Wan, the group quickly boarded the spatial spirit ship. As for the 7th area, there would naturally be other people who would come back to guard it. After the war, there would also be other people who would be responsible for the work. There was no need for Lin Yun and the others to worry about it. In the spatial spirit ship, Xiao Chun, Zixian, and Lai Wan had all gone to rest. Lin Yun was fine after taking the healing elixir. At this moment, she was sitting in the cabin with Old Master Dong Wang. "What's going on?" Faced with Lin Yun's inquiry, Old Master Dong Wang did not hide anything and told Lin Yun everything that had happened. Upon hearing that it was the two great ancestors of the Feng people who were up to no good, Old Master Dong Wang and the others would have arrived long ago, Lin Yun's eyes flashed with murderous intent. It's those two old things again. They really have a death wish. Previously, for the sake of Star-Lord, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had held back on various grievances with the Feng people. However, this time, the two great ancestors of the Feng people actually wanted to kill them with a borrowed knife. They purposely delayed the arrival of Old Master Dong Wang and the others, causing Xiao Chun and the others to be surrounded by danger and almost lose their lives on the spot. This time, Lin Yun really wanted to kill them. It was obvious that the murderous intent in Lin Yun's eyes was very strong. Old Master Dong Wang was not surprised by Lin Yun's reaction. After all, he knew the personalities of these two fellows very well. After suffering such a huge loss, it was impossible for them to swallow it. Moreover, even Old Master Dongwang himself felt that the two great ancestors of the Feng people had gone overboard this time. They clearly wanted to kill Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yin. Furthermore, they wanted to use the hands of the Qinglong galaxy. This was simply despicable. If the two great ancestors of the Feng people had the guts to personally attack Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yin, perhaps Old Master Dongwang would still think highly of them. However, it was really despicable for them to use such underhanded methods all day long. Don't be anxious. Let's wait for Xiao Chan to wake up first. During this time, you can stay in the West Imperial Palace with peace of mind. As for other matters, we'll talk about them later, Old Master Dongwang said. Old Master Dongwang said. He did not stop Lin Yun, but asked him to wait for Xiao Chun to wake up first. After being plotted against like this, with Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's personalities, they would definitely not let it go so easily. However, they still did not know what the Star Lord's attitude was. Would he protect the two of them? If that was the case, things would be a little difficult to handle. Xiao Chun and the others returned to the West Imperial Palace to recuperate. It was absolutely safe there, and they did not have to worry about anything else. On the other side, the old woman and old man who had been waiting for the results all this time had extremely ugly expressions. This was because they had just received news that although Xiao Chun and Lin Yun were seriously injured, they did not die. This completely stunned the two of them. If they did not die, it meant that they had failed. What kind of serious injury was this? It was simply meaningless. No matter how serious the injury was, with the recovery ability of a ruler and the use of medicinal pills, could it not be healed? Moreover, Xiao Chun and Lin Yin were not dead. In addition, their actions had probably been exposed. Therefore, they would have to face the crazy revenge of Xiao Chun and Lin Yin next. When they thought of the crazy revenge of these two madmen after their injuries were healed, the old woman and old man felt a chill in their hearts. They really did not want to go head-to-head with these two madmen. But what could they do now? Would you believe that they were not dead? Trash! Or are you the son of a dragon? There's so many people, and you can't kill two people? The old woman cursed angrily. Her target was Long Huaixin. He had already created an opportunity for her and stalled for a lot of time. In the end, Long Huaixin actually failed to kill Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yun. The old woman even suspected that Long Huaixin did it on purpose. Why didn't you kill them? You have the advantage in numbers, and you're not weak either. How could you not kill them? However, anger was anger, and it could not change reality. The old man at the side was very clear about this, and he said with a solemn expression, "All right, what's the use of saying this now? Let's think about how to deal with it. Those two madmen aren't easy to get along with. I reckon that they've already made up their minds to kill us this time." Hearing this, the old woman immediately said coldly, "How dare he? We're the great ancestors of the Feng people, and we're rulers. Would he dare to kill us? At most, we'll just give him some compensation. Please collect, recommend, and vote." Chapter 34:01. Just give some compensation and let it go. Hearing the old woman's words, the old man shook his head helplessly. This was simply too simple. This time, the two of them wanted to kill Xiao, Chun, and Lin Yun directly. Now that the two of them were not dead, the old woman wanted to give some compensation and let it go. In the old man's opinion, this was completely impossible. With Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's personalities, they would definitely not let it go so easily. However, the old man had no other choice now. After all, it had already happened, and there was no use regretting it. So let's wait and see. They could only take it one step at a time. Hearing this, the old woman did not refute. However, in the old woman's heart, she still felt that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would not dare to do anything. At most, this matter would be reported to the Star Lord, and the Feng people would just give some compensation. That's right. In the old woman's opinion, there was still the Star Lord holding down the fort. She would definitely not let Xiao Chun do anything to the Feng people. This was Old O's confidence and confidence. After all, they were rulers, and this matter was very important to the Fire Phoenix Galaxy. The old man also knew the old woman's thoughts, and the old man also ordered the Feng people under him to keep a low profile during this period of time and not provoke anyone again. In this regard, the Feng people naturally obeyed. They all knew what had happened, and they also knew that this was an eventful period, so naturally, they did not dare to provoke anyone again. As the days passed, it seemed that nothing had happened at first. However, everyone knew that nothing had happened, but it did not mean that this matter had passed. It was because Xiao Chun had yet to wake up from his coma. 5 days later, Xiao Chun finally woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw Long Qing guarding by his side. "Little brother, you're awake?" Seeing that Xiao Chun had woken up, Long Qing was immediately delighted. Seeing this, Xiao Chun nodded. This time, his injuries were not light, but fortunately, old Master Dong Wang and the others finally arrived at the last moment. Otherwise, if they were any later, Xiao Chun might not have been able to hold on. "How long have I been asleep?" 5 days. Hearing that, Long Qing rolled her eyes at Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun was seriously injured this time. If it was not for the fact that he was a ruler, he probably would not have woken up so quickly. After that, they chatted for a while. When Xiao Chun woke up, Long Qing was relieved. Xiao Chun also knew the whole story from Long Qing. It turned out that the 2 great elders of the Feng people had used a formation to obstruct old Master Dong Wang and the others, which was why they had arrived so late. This method of using someone else to do the dirty work was indeed extremely ruthless. Upon hearing this, Xiao Chun's eyes were also overflowing with killing intent. No wonder he found it strange that the reinforcements from the Western Imperial Palace had not arrived yet. It turned out that someone was behind this. It was the Feng people again. The 2 patriarchs of the Feng people had always wanted to deal with him. How could Xiao Chun turn a blind eye to such a potential threat? Previously, he did not kill the 2 patriarchs because the Fire Phoenix Galaxy and the Azure Dragon Galaxy were about to go to war, so Xiao Chun endured it. Now, these 2 fellows had always wanted to kill him, so it was a different story. One was not afraid of thieves stealing, but one was afraid of thieves remembering. How could Xiao Chun keep such people alive? So, what did he plan to do? Long Qing also saw through Xiao Chun's thoughts and asked indifferently. Hearing that, Xiao Chun naturally would not hide it from Long Qing and replied coldly, "What should I do? Of course, I'll have to return the favor." If they wanted to use someone else to do the dirty work, they would have to see if these 2 old fellows could withstand his revenge. As for the Star-Lord, Xiao Chun did not care at all. The 2 great elders of the Feng people must be killed. Otherwise, who knew what would happen to them next? This time, he was lucky to survive, but who could guarantee that he would be so lucky every time? If it happened again, who would save him? Xiao Chun had just woken up, and soon, Lin Yun and Xian Yuanling also rushed over. Lin Yun did not object to the matter of revenge. In fact, he was very supportive. He was also not a person who could take this lying down. If he was not waiting for Xiao Chun to wake up, he would have already gone to the Feng people to seek justice. After defeating Xiao Chun and waking up, they only needed to wait for Xiao Chun to recover from his injuries. Then, the 2 of them could launch a counterattack against the Feng people. As for the conflict between Xiao Chun and Lin Yun and the Feng people, everyone in the Western Imperial Palace was already aware of it. The 2 great elders of the Feng people had already transferred all the martial artists of the Feng people to the area they were in charge of before Xiao Chun woke up. Obviously, they did this because they were afraid that these martial artists of the Feng people would be secretly harmed by Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. However, would that be enough? Many people knew that this matter was probably not over yet, especially those emperors who knew the character of Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. At this time, in the main hall of the Western Imperial Palace, the emperors were dealing with various matters while talking about the matter between Xiao Chun and the Feng people. One of the emperors said, "Alas, it's really an eventful time. The Azure Dragon Galaxy is covetous, and there are also many internal conflicts. Who can be blamed for this? If the Feng people didn't act recklessly, such a thing wouldn't have happened. That's right, they wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. Now, not only did they not kill them, but they also poked a hornet's nest. Did they think that it would be enough to transfer all the people of the Feng people under their command? Now, they know to be afraid. Why didn't they think about it before? Do you think we should stop them? Stop them? How do we stop them? Let Xiao Huang and Lin Huang forget about it. Don't you know the character of those two? Let alone us. I'm afraid that even Lord Star-Lord wouldn't be able to stop them this time. That's true. This time, the Feng people have really gone too far. They're clearly aiming for the lives of others. Who would be able to bear such a thing happening? Forget it, forget it. Let's not get involved in this muddy water. The emperors all guessed that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would definitely take revenge on the Feng people, because this was the character of those two. Since Xiao Chun and Lin Yun didn't die, they should have expected such an outcome. Moreover, there was another thing that was strange. After the incident, Lord Star-Lord didn't seem to have taken any action. Was it because she didn't know about this matter, or was she biased towards the Feng people? Because this matter clearly showed that the two ancestors of the Feng people had provoked Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. Now that Lord Star-Lord didn't say anything, did that mean that she was biased towards the Feng people? If that was the case, then it wouldn't be good news for Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. Moreover, with the character of those two, if that was really the case, they wouldn't listen to Star-Lord's words. However, this matter was related to Lord Star-Lord. No one dared to casually talk about it. After all, if that was the case, then this matter would be even more troublesome. Moreover, if she was openly biased towards the Feng people, her subordinates would definitely not be convinced. Please collect, recommend, monthly vote. Chapter 3402. Many people were puzzled by the Star-Lord's attitude. After all, it was strange that the Star-Lord did not say anything about such a big matter. In fact, they really did not know the inside story. The Star-Lord of the Fire Phoenix Galaxy was not in the Western Imperial Palace at this time. She went to the southern region. As for why, no one knew, but it was definitely something very important. The matters of the Western region were temporarily handed over to Huang Yi and Elder Master Bai. If anything happened, Elder Master Bai would inform her immediately. Moreover, in order to guard against a sudden attack from the Azure Dragon Galaxy and ensure that she could rush back as soon as possible, Elder Master Bai had created a special space in the spatial dimension. The Star-Lord had even built a spatial node in his residence. With this spatial node, no matter where the Star-Lord was, he would be able to teleport back immediately and arrive in the blink of an eye. However, Elder Master Bai did not tell the Star-Lord about this matter at all. As for what he was thinking, it was not difficult to guess. It was nothing more than wanting to side with the Feng people. Because no matter how one looked at this matter, the Feng people were obviously the ones in the wrong. Once this matter was told to the Star-Lord, the ones who would be punished would definitely be the Feng people. In addition, the Star-Lord originally valued Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, and his attitude towards the Feng people was becoming more and more unpleasant. Once the Star-Lord found out about this matter, the punishment would definitely be severe. Therefore, Elder Master Bai actually concealed this matter. It was precisely because of this that the Star-Lord had not made any statement until now. In fact, she did not know at all. It had to be said that Elder Master Bai was really bold. As someone by the Star-Lord's side, his actions had undoubtedly touched the bottom line of the Star-Lord. However, for the sake of the Feng people, Elder Master Bai still stood on the side of the Feng people without hesitation. That was why Black Matriarch said that Elder Master Bai was really not suitable to continue staying by Star-Lord's side, because he was too biased towards the Feng people. All these years, Star-Lord did not take care of the Feng people, but Elder Master Bai did a lot of things for the Feng people. Elder Master Bai wanted to suppress the matter, but in the end, the matter was left unsettled. Therefore, just as everyone was wondering why Star-Lord did not respond at all, Elder Master Bai had already found Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. Elder Master Bai came to Xiao Chun's residence to visit Xiao Chun, but in reality, he came to help the Feng people seek peace. Therefore, the few of them sat in a room. Lin Yun and Long Qing were also present. Elder Master Bai said bluntly, "Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, this time, the Feng people are indeed in the wrong. However, you also know that the current battle situation is urgent. Star-Lord still hopes to talk about these things in the future. After all, the overall situation is more important. Elder Master Bai was indeed getting bolder and bolder. Not only did he conceal the news, but he also dared to openly persuade Shao Chun in the name of Star-Lord. This was also Elder Master Bai's plan. As someone by the Star-Lord's side, Elder Master Bai represented Star-Lord. There was indeed no problem with this, and no one would doubt it. Even Shao Chun and Lin Yun did not doubt this, as it was very normal for Elder Master Bai to represent Star-Lord to convey her intentions. However, even though Shao Chun understood that this was the intention of Star-Lord, Shao Chun still did not have any intention of backing down. Looking at Elder Master Bai, Shao Chun said with a cold smile, "Talk about it in the future?" "Ah, talk about it in the future, or do you want us to forget about it?" Hearing those words, Elder Master Bai's face turned cold as he said indifferently, "When the battle is over, Lord Star-Lord will naturally give you all an explanation. As of now, we need to face the Azure Dragon Galaxy, an external enemy. I hope that Xiao Huang will be able to clearly distinguish the severity of the situation." Severity? Simply laughable. Since our current greatest enemy is the Azure Dragon Galaxy, what are the actions of the Foam people? Don't tell me that they don't need to consider the overall situation while we are merely retaliating. Are we unable to distinguish the severity of the situation? Elder Master Bai's words were simply unreasonable. Only the magistrate was allowed to set a fire, but the commoners were not allowed to light a lamp. Furthermore, after this great battle, who would be able to survive and who would die in battle? Who would be able to say for sure? If they were to die in battle, then how would this matter be settled? Therefore, in Shao Chen's eyes, Elder Master Bai's words were nothing more than a joke. They were simply laughable to the extreme. This was also the result that Elder Master Bai wanted. That's right, after this great battle with the Azure Dragon Galaxy, who knew what the final outcome would be? If Shao Chun and the others were to die in battle, what responsibility would they have to bear at that time? Who would take responsibility for a woman? However, Shao Chun and Lin Yun were not so easily fooled. Therefore, they did not give Elder Master Bai any face at all and directly rejected him. Seeing that Shao Chun did not give him any face at all, Elder Master Bai's complexion gradually became gloomy. This child was simply too arrogant. At that moment, Elder Master Bai coldly said, "This is the will of Lord Star-Lord. Xiao Huang, Lin Huang, are you two planning to disobey Lord Star-Lord?" This time, it was Lin Yun who spoke. "Don't put such a high hat on us. We will naturally not accept such injustice. This time, no matter what, the Foam people would have to pay the price. No matter what, it would not be good for anyone to say anything." Therefore, after Lin Yun's voice faded, Shao Chen spoke. "If Star-Lord is unable to uphold justice, then we can only use our own methods. Rebellion. The two of you are simply rebelling." Regarding this, Elder Master Bai was directly enraged. He completely did not expect that Shao Chun and Lin Yun would actually be so audacious. Furthermore, they were so stubborn. However, Elder Master Bai was unable to do anything because the Star-Lord simply did not know about this matter. Now, Elder Master Bai had to think of a way to obtain Shao Chun and Lin Yun's understanding, because only by doing so could he successfully take over this matter. Therefore, after flying into a rage, Elder Master Bai could only forcefully suppress the anger in his heart and patiently speak to Shao Chun and Lin Yun. "You should also know about the current situation. This is not the time for internal strife. How about this? The Foam people can provide a certain amount of compensation. Whatever you need, I can go and obtain it for you." They could only compensate. Moreover, in Elder Master Bai's opinion, they would probably have to pay a heavy price this time. After all, with Shao Chun and Lin Yun's characters, ordinary compensation would definitely be useless. However, there was no other way. This was necessary. Who asked those two idiots to take the initiative to provoke Shao Chun and Lin Yun? It was fine if they wanted to use someone else to do their dirty work, but in the end, they did not succeed. They were simply idiots. The current result was also something that they had to bear. To be honest, even Elder Master Bai had complaints about the two ancestors of the Foam people in his heart. What could he do? Elder Master Bai was also a Feng people, so he could not watch the Feng people be crippled by Xiao Chun and Lin Yun just like that. This was also the reason why Elder Master Bai spared no effort to help the Feng people. However, after hearing Elder Master Bai's words and hearing Xiao Chun and Lin Yun's answers, he immediately felt uncomfortable. This was because Elder Master Bai could not give the compensation that Xiao Chun and the others wanted at all. Compensation? Then bring me the heads of the two ancestors of the Feng people. Please collect, recommend, and vote. Chapter 34:03. Compensate with the heads of the two patriarchs of the Feng people. Upon hearing this, Elder Master Bai's face immediately darkened. Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. These two people really did not know what was good for them. In Elder Master Bai's opinion, he had already shown them enough respect by personally coming to discuss this matter with them. However, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun did not back down at all. It was obvious that they did not want to settle this peacefully. However, Elder Master Bai had never considered whether he would be able to settle this peacefully if he was the one to do it. The other party had already made it clear that they wanted to kill him. Now, he wanted to let Xiao Chun and Lin Yun off just based on a few words from him. Was that even possible? After all, Xiao Chun had almost lost his life this time. If old Master Dong Wang and the others had not arrived in time, would Xiao Chun still be sitting here talking? How could such a grudge be resolved with just a few words? That was the biggest joke in the world. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, no one from the Feng people had appeared. As the instigators, the two patriarchs of the Feng people had not done anything. Although Elder Master Bai was one of Star-Lord's people, to be honest, even if Star-Lord personally came to this matter, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would not let this matter go if he did not give a satisfactory answer. A mere Elder Master Bai was not qualified to make Xiao Chun and Lin Yun bow their heads. Seeing that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun were completely unmoved, Elder Master Bai was also angry and said coldly, "Think about it carefully. This is a critical period now. If you refuse to let go of this matter, it will affect the overall situation. Can the two of you bear the consequences?" "Huh? Do you think the two of us are easily frightened? According to what you say, if the two of us kill you now, all we have to do is admit our mistakes and we'll be done with it?" Xiao Chun replied with a sneer. Upon hearing this, Elder Master Bai was stunned. Then, he became even angrier. What did Xiao Chun just say? Kill me? Was he too daring? Are you crazy? Isn't that what you want? Feng people wanted to kill us with two old bastards, but now you want us to let this matter go for the sake of the big picture. In other words, if we kill you now, won't the Star-Lord also overlook this matter for the greater good? These are two different things. Hearing this, Elder Master Bai shouted coldly. However, Xiao Chun laughed disdainfully. Two different things? How come when it comes to you, it becomes a completely different matter? If the same thing happened to him, he would have to think for the greater good. However, when it came to Elder Master Bai, it was completely different. Wasn't this a joke? You, Xiao Chun, don't try to change the subject. I came here today for the greater good. I have no selfish motives. Faced with Elder Master Bai's words, Xiao Chun didn't want to talk nonsense with him anymore. He directly waved his hand and said, "Forget it. I have nothing to say to someone like you. As for the Feng people's matter, we'll deal with it ourselves." Xiao Chun was already very tolerant of Elder Master Bai. If he wasn't one of the Star-Lord's people, Xiao Chun wouldn't have talked to him for so long. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Elder Master Bai was on the side of the Feng people. The words that came out of his mouth were not fair at all. Every word and sentence was for the Feng people. As for Xiao Chun and Lin Yun, he didn't even consider them. Since this was the case, Xiao Chun couldn't be bothered to talk to him anymore. He still had to solve his own grudges. Unfortunately, in the face of Xiao Chun's concession, Elder Master Bai didn't appreciate it and even dared to threaten him. "Xiao Chun, Lin Yun, I'm doing this for your own good. If this matter gets out of hand, the two of you will definitely not have a good ending." As soon as these words came out, Xiao Chun was so angry that he laughed. "This is the first time I've heard of such a thing. They were the ones who attacked, but in the end, they actually want us to swallow our anger. According to what you said, the Feng people should kill us? Can't we resist? Get lost. Lin Yun was even more direct and shouted coldly. In response, Elder Master Bai was furious and glared at Xiao Chun and Lin Yun. Logically speaking, Elder Master Bai definitely wouldn't take the advantage, but he insisted on siding with the phone people. The reason was because Elder Master Bai was a phone people. Although he had always been by the Star Lord's side, in Elder Master Bai's heart, he had always regarded himself as a member of the phone people. Therefore, over the years, Elder Master Bai had done many things for the phone people, including this time, before the phone people had said anything. Elder Master Bai was the first to jump out, hoping that Xiao Chun and Lin Yun would settle the matter peacefully and swallow their anger. If it were anyone else, they might have really agreed to Elder Master Bai's request. After all, Elder Master Bai had the Star Lord behind him. Unfortunately, he met Xiao Chun and Lin Yun this time. The two of them didn't care about the Star Lord. If they didn't vent their anger, it would be useless even if the Star Lord came personally, let alone Elder Master Bai. Lin Yun bluntly berated Elder Master Bai to get lost. As she spoke, she stood up directly, and killing intent appeared around her. If you don't get lost, I'll kill you today. Anyway, according to what you said, for the sake of the big picture, it doesn't matter if one person dies. How could Elder Master Bai accept the threat of death directly? He looked at Lin Yun coldly and said with an imposing manner, "How dare you? This is the West Imperial Palace. I don't believe that you dare to rebel." Elder Master Bai was certain that Lin Yun wouldn't dare to do anything to him. He was the Star Lord's subordinate, and this was the West Imperial Palace. Kill him? What a joke. Did Lin Yun have the guts to do so? Soon, Lin Yun gave him the answer with her actions. Sorry, Lin Yun and Xiao Chun really didn't lack guts. Moreover, they were already full of anger, and this Elder Master Bai still wanted to send them on their way. This was undoubtedly asking for trouble. They had already exhausted their patience with Elder Master Bai, but this old thing didn't know when to back down. He really thought that Lin Yun wouldn't dare to make a move. Therefore, as soon as Elder Master Bai finished speaking, Lin Yun had already thrown a punch. The terrifying wind instantly razed the room where they were to the ground. Xiao Chun wasn't injured because he was protected by his spiritual power. At this time, Elder Master Bai had already been sent flying into the sky by Lin Yun. From the beginning to the end, he had never thought that Lin Yun would dare to attack him. Therefore, the moment Lin Yun attacked, Elder Master Bai was actually caught off guard. After being sent flying, Lin Yun didn't stop. She stood up again and chased after Elder Master Bai. It seemed that she really wanted to kill him here. Seeing the two of them fighting, Xiao Chun didn't step forward. It was mainly because his injuries hadn't fully recovered, so it was not suitable for him to fight for the time being. Besides, Lin Yun's strength was actually not weaker than Elder Master Bai's. Ever since they broke through to the Emperor's stage, Xiao Chun and Lin Yun had improved. On the contrary, both of them had improved a lot. Please collect, recommend, and vote. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.